Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual slavery.
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everybody, to the 478th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse, the media arm of the Boxing Nutters Messenger Group. Joining us today on the call, Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson, Ozzie Smith. I think we might see Rob later today. I think he's might be back from his stay in the county jail. Tell you who might not be back, though, is Nonito Donaire going down second round against Inoue in what was a very entertaining first round. It looked like it could be a really fun, entertaining scrap. And then a right hand from hell sent Donaire to the canvas. Second round just took a beating until it was mercifully stopped. Inoue moves onwards and upwards. Donaire might be looking back at an incredible career. Andy, you and I went points on this one, seeing some value because that's the way the first one went. Oops.
Yeah, massively, man.
We forgot. This is the monster. He truly is.
See, to be honest, what happened there during the week was what I expected to happen in the first fight, and of course, we know what happened in the first fight. Donaire's put in one of his greatest career, performances, even by his high standards at least. But no answers whatsoever, mate. He just got blasted away. Just couldn't take the shots that I knew he was throwing. The left hook in particular, with a trip hammer, just absolutely just bent his legs in that second round, didn't it? I mean, forget about the first round. Just to see him get beat up like that and just get stopped in the manner of what he did. I think it was a left hook that dipped his legs. He's then swayed over the ring. Inoue's throwing hooks again, head on body, jab, right hand, and then I think he's stepped in again with another jab, right hand. I think it was the right hand. It just finished him off badly. But as I say, look, not much you can add to it really. It was just an absolute exquisite performance in how to actually beat the shit out of someone, mate. And that's what it was. That's what it was at the end of the day. So fair play to Inoue, but as I say about Donaire now at this point, I mean, as I say, I expected that to happen to him in the first fight. He's somehow managed to kind of pull himself back. Broke it, as I said, he broke Inoue's optimal bone, broke his nose. You're thinking, right, okay, he's come back, looked well against Ubali, smashed him up in 4 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever it was. You're thinking, look, he's still got something about him, but one step too far, mate. That's all it was. Just could not take the power. No disgrace. He retires, hopefully, all-time great, first ballot Hall of Famer. And thanks for the memories. Been there live to see him as well. So fair play to Donaire, gentleman to the sport, and happy retirement if it ever comes.
He's given me a lot of great memories through the years. He's absolutely incredible fighter. And when you look at him, working to get back down to 118 later in his career, you kind of wonder if he was phoning it in the middle there when he didn't look so hot, and what a little extra effort might have given him. But Donaire, absolutely incredible fighter, second greatest Filipino fighter of all time. But as far as Inoue goes, Steve, last week we were having a discussion where how high can he go in the weights? Well, clearly it's at least one more with this power. That's a given. Talking about unifying the belts, I think the only one that's left is Butler. Am I wrong for dreaming that some way, somehow, we get a Stephen Fulton Naoya Inoue fight before Fulton moves up to featherweight?
I don't think so. Fulton's just a big guy, and he would present Inoue with a lot of seismic problems if he were to move up. But I just don't think the time scale and the time frame is going to be there for that. I think Fulton is busting at the seams, and he's going to move up. So if Inoue does move up himself, he's going to have to fight somebody else. But yeah, it would be a dream fight between him and Fulton, because this is just another incisive, devastating display from Inoue. Exactly what I wanted to see him do. Nonito Donaire, you mentioned there, I've seen him live as well, the time he fought Frampton in Belfast. He has nothing left to prove. He's too old for these lower weight classes at the highest level. He can still present a danger to many of the opponents, but it just feels like the time is right now to bow out, unless he wants a testimonial fight in the Philippines first or something like that. Feels like Donaire's time has come and gone. He's been a great servant to the sport. But Inoue, see, when he gets you on the hook, he's just a powerful finisher. He's just pure box office. Everything you want to see in a pound-for-pound star. You mentioned Paul Butler. He'll probably be next. I don't begrudge Butler his big payday. It's an opportunity. It's a chance to get paid. Huge fight. It's a shame Casemiro isn't there. He'd present an element of danger. But for Butler, it's hard to see anything other than a one-sided mismatch. He's going to get bodied by Inoue. He's not going to be competitive, and that's no fault of his own. He's a good fighter, Butler, solid fighter. But he's the right man or the wrong man at the wrong time, I think, as far as this is concerned. And if it delivers an undisputed champion, I'll accept it. Donaire, he was just dispatched so savagely. Anyone else at the weight will meet exactly the same fate, and that is why the only threat to Inoue is a move up in weight. Let's see if that excessive poundage can present him with the kind of challenge that these fighters just can't present him with at the moment.
And that's what's tough. I almost think it's not only can Inoue move up a weight class. He almost has to find a challenge. Oz, who's on your radar when you're thinking, yeah, he can go up another weight class? Who is there that you're actually kind of indecisive at least about who might be the victor?
Do you mean in general, sorry, or do you mean in regards?
You're thinking about 122-ish. I think he cleans out 118. So let's jump up a weight class. Who do you see at Super Bantam that actually poses a threat to this machine?
You've got to say Fulton, without a doubt, will pose problems. I mean, I think from Lewis Neri is a big guy as well at that weight, but A, can even make it, but B, I mean, he did get chinned off Brandon Figueroa. I think naturally what I've always said about these weights is that particularly at the smaller weights, 2 or 3 pound is massive, absolutely massive. It's not like a cruiserweight or a heavyweight having 4 or 5 pound on his opponent. At the smaller weights, it can make all the difference. That saying, I don't see him, going up to Super Bantam and him losing, quality attributes. Is he going to lose his power? I can't see him not being able to hurt people the weight above. I was actually looking, if he was to go up, I assume he would be able to go up, and technically, if the WBO make him some sort of champion, he can go up and immediately fight for their world title at the weight above. However, I don't think he'll do that. I'd be looking at a fight maybe against Daniel Roman for him. I think that'd be, a very good yardstick. It's not offensive to Roman, but there's no point in a way messing around. When Usyk went up to heavyweight and he fought that big fat bimbo, Chaz Witherspoon or something like that, who was just a waste of everybody's time. I don't think Inoue needs to do that because he's quite active, and I see him going up and taking, a more than solid test. Maybe a Marlon Tapales or something like that.
Well,
having one fight
Roman. You talked about Roman. Stopping Roman, that's a statement. He's
exactly,
durable.
and
he's been in with the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's good as well, by the way. He's only lost to the best. So he's a very good fighter. I mean, there's other fighters, that there'd be some interesting tests. I mean, he's a big sell, that's for sure. I think Fulton is the one who naturally presents, the bigger problems for him, and that's because, we're talking about him being on, Fulton on pound for pound lists, but also as well the size issue as well. He's a big guy and doesn't lose, he doesn't drain himself to make the weight and lose, qualities like we see some of the fighters do. So I certainly think he can definitely go up to super bantam. And there's no reason as to why he can't win a world title as well at that weight. He's too good not to. And there'll be fighters who'll get their hands on a belt who he will be more than good enough to beat. The Butler fight, I think I agree with. Well, I agree with everything what Steve said, in a sense that it will just be a one-sided mismatch. Actually, he could fight Paul Butler tomorrow, given what he took no punishment really whatsoever in that Donaire fight. He could fight Butler tomorrow, and he'd chin Butler probably exactly the way as to what he did to Donaire. That will just be a one-sided mismatch. The Casimiro fight, it's a shame that won't happen. And I don't even think we see that at the weight above either. But he's a quality fighter. I called the stoppage last week, but I didn't think it would happen after 2 rounds. I thought it was going to be a massacre when they both announced what gloves they'd be wearing, and you knew the fight wasn't going to go the distance when they both had punchers' gloves on. And Inoue's qualities and power just told in the fight. Donaire just couldn't take it whatsoever. And there's no shame in that. We went into depth on Nonito Donaire last week. What a fighter and what a career he's had. If he does have one more fight, it'd be great to have him a homecoming. But for me, he's nothing to prove, and he should walk away. He's got his health intact. Arguably one of the most loved fighters in the sport. You don't hear anybody say a bad word about him, and he can walk away with with his head held high off the back of a fantastic career, and hopefully more than financially secure as well.
Oh, I think so. I think he's done really well. That wife of his seems to keep him in line, more or less. So, best of luck to Nonito Donaire and whatever he decides to do, because that man has given us some fantastic memories. And Inoue is building up something similar. Lots of great stuff coming from him. I hope there's a lot more to come. What wasn't great was last night. At Madison Square Garden for the Puerto Rican Day Parade, I think that was probably the worst thing to happen to Puerto Ricans since Hurricane Sandy. Josue Vargas lost to journeyman Dakota Linger, who sounds like he's a pornographic actor. Edgar Berlanga bit his way to a unanimous decision, showing no class. And were it not for the clever move of matching Puerto Ricans against each other in 2 separate fights, the night might have been truly disastrous. Steve, what of this shit show? I mean, days gone by, you had Cotto, Trinidad, Camacho headlining these things, and now we have this fucking disaster waiting to happen. I feel bad for the Puerto Rican people. Yeah, your thoughts, Steve. Where'd he go? Steve? Andy, why don't you try?
I see he's trying to unmute himself and he's coming back off mute, so I'll give him another chance. Maybe he's mute, maybe something's wrong with his mic. Yeah, listen, mate, to be honest, I actually did suffer the full 10 rounds of this. By God, it was awful. Absolutely terrible. Berlinga, how can I put it shortly? Shite. No effective aggression, no effective boxing, from what I can recall. He just seemed to be happy to kind of pop off the jab, kind of stay on the back foot. Just there was nothing good or effective. I felt nothing at all. I mean, even the fucking bite didn't even look like it was effective. I've got to say about Angulo, he wasn't phased. He could have probably fought 45 rounds like that, I think. Just that's how one-paced it was. You know, even I think even I don't know if he broke his nose, but Berlanga's nose is bleeding by about what's it, round 3. He's got forced back pretty much the entire fight.
Those uppercuts were at will. The guy
yeah, I
is
know.
totally susceptible.
The on the inside, those short uppercuts were pretty brutal. Actually, and you remember, I think Angulo even managed to force Benavidez back in their fight, and even though Benavidez has struggled to make weight, he still managed to get the stoppage. There was nothing, absolutely zero positivity about that performance here last night. I mean, even after the bell, he tries to headbutt Angulo, and all of a sudden gets all this attitude about him. I'm saying, well, where's that aggressiveness during the fight? Why are you getting aggressive after the fucking final bell? I don't know if it's an issue trying to make weight or he's trying new things, but he was far better being aggressive, coming forward and knocking people out. But I don't know what he's adopted the last 2 fights. They just haven't been anywhere what we expected them to be, shall we say? But that
He's
was just
acting
awful.
like a fucking raging cokehead.
It was just awful, mate. That's all I can add to it. I mean, he says he struggles with someone possibly who's either got a bit of dig about him. I don't know if he's maybe just lack of training, lack of maybe conditioning, struggling to maybe crashing the weight late. I don't know what it is, mate. It's like a guy who doesn't trust his power, doesn't trust his tank, or he can't trust himself to kind of go at a good pace for good 10 rounder there last night. Just nothing. It was just awful. As I say, there was nothing effective about it. And they're talking about a homecoming back, was it December time for Puerto Rico? I tell you what, he better put on a better performance than that in his hometown if he's fucking coming home, because they'll just boo him right out of the park. That was awful last night. Sorry.
Yeah, the Bob father should be particularly ashamed of this one. Steve, hope you're back with us again. It was a really confusing night, including Henry LeBron fighting Luis LeBron. I don't know. Weird all around.
Can you hear me now, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It was funnily enough, Matty, actually, I was saying exactly what you were saying whenever you couldn't hear me about the fact that they put an 8-rounder between LeBron and LeBron, and it was a boring 8-rounder too. Just kind of summed the evening up for me. You kind of knew what was coming after that, but I think we all knew that Berlanga's KO streak was a gimmick, and the question was always going to be, what would happen once he stepped up in levels? Well, we found out now. He's gone from a first-round blast-out artist to this ultra-conservative back-foot boxer. It's negative, it's defensive. It doesn't fill me with any confidence that he'll be able to even outbox the better fighters either, because they're not going to be coming forward all flat-footed, predictable in straight lines at a slow pace like Alexis Angulo was. And Andy summed it up perfectly. Berlanga was blowing out of his arse after the 4th round, which is why I don't understand why Angulo didn't tag the body more. That's what his corner was asking him to do. Berlanga was looking up at the clock. He's in no great physical condition for even a 10-rounder. He's not a likeable personality. He was complaining to the ref, going low, tried to bite Angulo at a point. I think it was in the 7th round. And people are suggesting all the time he doesn't live the life. He likes a party. He sacked off Andre Rozier. Maybe Rozier was giving him a few home truths. Who knows what's happened with that relationship? All they can do now, Matty, is match him carefully and cash him out, because he's going nowhere for me. They're mentioning the crowd. The crowd were muted. They were unenthused. They're mentioning Cotto, Felix Trinidad. Bob Barham's going to have to try and bail out Felix Verdeo or something for next year's parade, because whatever the question is, Berlanga ain't the answer.
Yeah, do you think they're really trying to force a Puerto Rican star on us? Like, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work like this. It doesn't work like.
Well, and to be fair to Bob, Xander Zayas had to pull out of that card. I think illness or injury on that
That's
one,
right.
And that kid is going to be something. But unfortunately, I mean, he's a couple years out from a title opportunity, probably.
He's only 20.
I mean, I'm going to throw something at you guys, and feel free to argue with me. I think the best Puerto Rican fighter at this moment is Amanda Serrano. Fight me on it.
Ugh. Why'd you have to go there for?
Yeah, exactly, man. You got 2 hips.
Yeah, but that's the state of Puerto Rican boxing rather than Serrano's abilities. Is that not right?
The other one's in jail, isn't he? What's his name? Verdejo.
Yeah. She is a tremendous fighter, but
no,
her skills against the skills of a Miguel Cotto at his prime, a Felix Trinidad at his prime. I'm not going to say that she's that good as much as I do respect and admire, but I'm thinking, and I struggle to think of a Puerto Rican fighter who is better than Amanda Serrano at this moment in time. Honestly.
I can see why they do it, Matty. Obviously, they want to replace these stars. Cotto came on the way up with Bob. We all saw the fights, but he brought the excitement. Cotto did. He was an exciting fighter. Trinidad, you have to just cool off, don't you? It's like Eddie comparing Haney to Mayweather. I can see why they do it. I'm not blaming them from a promotional perspective. But you're looking at Felix Trinidad and you're looking at Edgar Berlanga, and it's night and day. Berlanga might be a knockout artist with all these 16 knockouts in a row in the first round and everything. But Trinidad was a masterful fighter. Multiple defenses at the weight. Excitement guaranteed. He got knocked down. He got back up again. Powerful left hook. These are the elite fighters you're comparing them to. I know everyone has to start somewhere. But Berlanga ain't it for me at the moment. He seems like he's gone from, I'm going to blow everybody out. Now I'm going to stand back and box off the back foot. But like I said earlier, Tim Bradley was praising his boxing. I understand why they do that. They have to kind of protect the product on ESPN. But it's so negative, so conservative. Angulo was catching him with shots, with uppercuts. He blooded his nose. He caught him with the occasional body shot. They were asking him to go to the body. He wouldn't do it. Guys are going to go right through Berlanga. Anyone half decent is going to go through him like a dose of the shits, like I said last night. And the likes of Benavidez, it'd been an absolute massacre. I don't know where he's going, what they're going to do with him.
Fucking the hype doesn't match the skills, Matty. Telling you, mate, there's too many flaws in that game.
100%.
Plus, he's not humility either, man. What's he doing at the end of that fight there last night? He's fucking lucky that referee was caught on the blind side of that bite.
He's a little fucking asshole. But the good news is he's a little fucking asshole who's going to get opportunities, and eventually he's going to get blasted, and we can get a little bit of joy out of that. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, to be honest, mate, who's going to match him up with at some point to get him blown out? Because I'll tell you what, mate, he's struggling to kind of hype him up for any type of main event, for any big opponent or biggish opponent, for any type of pay-per-view if it's ever going to go that way. Because, as I say, that's 2 fights now, and he's shit the bed in both of them.
Well, Bob doesn't have a lot of talent around that weight either. I mean, what do you got? Better be Evan Smith around.
Has he fought Jesse Hart yet? It's got to be Jesse.
Hey,
come on,
let's get Jesse.
Or Hakan Habib, or what have you? Habib Ahmed, has he got him out?
He'll probably try and get that Fang Long Meng or that, but he caught the Bosnian guy. He was kicking about somewhere. Maybe one of the Germans, like what's his name, Leon Boone, possibly. Maybe get Craig Richards across for him or something to see what he can do with him. Wouldn't be surprised if Richards beat him actually, to be honest.
I think.
Fucking right. So he would.
Maybe he can get the guy with the most heterosexual name in boxing, Mr. Faggot.
I'll tell you who would beat him.
Move up.
I'll tell you who would beat him if he was absolutely, mentally. I don't know if he's still fighting actually these days, but if he's mentally prepared, physically, all that jazz, Lyndon Arthur fucking beats him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him making that fight. Oz, did you catch this shit fest? You're silent on this, and I think this calls for an absolute disgrace, does it not?
Yeah, unfortunately I did, and he's shit. He's shit. He's not good, and I think we were all lured into the hype when he was banging out these nobodies. But ultimately, I mean, he resulted into biting his opponent last night. He's just not good. I mean, I don't know if it's, like what he's doing wrong or simply he just isn't that good. Because, I mean, you'd rather see him, a bit like, Kudryashov. He has one way of fighting, and that's just coming forward. And if he lands, you're going to get knocked out. But he's also going to get chinned himself. He kind of needs to adopt tactics like that rather than trying to, be this fancy boxer. Sometimes stick to what you know is the best thing you can do, and he's neglecting all of that. He's boring to watch. These fights are doing more harm to his career than good. I think we all didn't expect him, to carry on this unbelievable knockout streak, but what we didn't expect him to do is really struggle the way he did. 168 isn't a deep division whatsoever, but he is nowhere near the top 15 for me whatsoever. Maybe even top 20. I'd back someone like Gabe Rosado to give him a good fight at the moment.
I don't know if he's in the top 10 Puerto Rican super middleweights at the moment, Oz.
Yeah, he's miles away. I mean, I think John Ryder would stop him. I think someone like Ryder would, sense that weakness where he was to the body and that fatigue, particularly early on in the fight, and would get to him. I think someone like Lerone Richards would wipe the floor with him as well. He's nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near, and he's got a problem now, Aaron, in terms of what can he do with him, because ultimately, his value is going down, fight by fight. Steve said about cashing him out. But that money's not going to be there because ultimately, who's going to want to watch him? He's just drawing criticism. He's not a likable character. They need to get, like a bit of a name who's got a glass jaw from where he can impress and get this knockout streak back on the scene. Because otherwise, every fight that happens, when it keeps going the distance, he's just, it's boring. It is boring. It's just not impressive to watch. I've not a clue who they'll look at next. I have no idea. Maybe get someone like Giovanni De Carolis or something like that. Or I think, Vinny Fagan Butts, he wanted 130 grand to fight, bloody hell, Hamza Shiraz. So maybe, get him over for a Balanga opponent, something like that. But this guy is just, boring to watch, underwhelming, and has clearly bought into his own hype. And as I say, resulted to biting somebody. I thought he got a favourable decision last night. I thought he'd win on points.
A wide favourable decision.
Yeah, very wide favourable decision because, if Angulo would have got that, I saw a lot of people scoring that fight to Angulo last night. And I think he can feel disappointed that he didn't get that result. But they've got a problem with him because, he struggled, against that random Argentinian, that Casares, Steve Rolls, from where I'm pretty sure Rolls had an argument in winning that fight as well. And then Angulo. If he's not, comfortably coming through these sort of levels, he's no chance even at, European level, for comparison on our side. I think, some European level fighters would not only beat him, but knock him out. So, I won't be rushing to watch his next fight, that's for sure.
Matty, can I just say about Angulo? He pissed me off as well. He came in overweight. He is old. He clearly can't make the weight. He had no energy about him. The fight was there, maybe not to be won, but the fight was there to be made close. And I know harped on about it as well, but the fact he wasn't going to the body was pissing me off. I think it was all there for him and he was happy to coast. So he was the victim of his own downfall, Angulo. He annoyed me.
Oh, he definitely could have done a whole lot more. Any number of fighters would have had Berlanga's number last night, that's for sure. Real quick before we go onwards, I'd like to thank some folks in the chat. Sorry if I miss anyone, which I'm sure I will. Michael Thompson, Cedric Sniff, Jim McDonald Boxing, Ricky Graville, Ben Russell, Adam Hughes, Big A, Nathan Ford, Slappy Gilmore, Chris Butler, Johnny the Big HC Nelson, Harvey Price Boxing Returns, M. Lithgow, our homie Deanch, Sad Ken, Younger 7, Jack Dio, Ray Reardon, Mark Stanton, and Bump of K. Who doesn't love a Bump of K? That's a lovely name.
Ray Reardon. He was a fucking snooker player from the 80s, wasn't he?
Fucking further back than that, I think, mate.
Yeah, Earl Strickland's going to be popping in here later on. Efren Reyes a little after that. Welcome to Billiards Asylum. But anyways, thank you everyone in there. Also, thank you to the folks that all do our that are part of our Patreon. Steve keeps that rocking. Over stateside, had an interesting little 5-round number between Jaime Munguia and Jimmy Kelly, with Jimmy Kelly doing just about everything right for 4 rounds until he decided to back straight out, got caught with a left hand towards the top of his head, going down, and it was all misery from there, being stopped towards right at the end of the 5th round there. And it was looking like Munguia was in for kind of a shit night, like with the Hogan fight there, Steve, and then just out of nowhere comes that left hand. He's an exceptional finisher, putting on like 30 pounds, they said overnight. Unreal. This massive unit.
How much was that? Sorry, I missed that. How much
about
did you
30?
He said about 30. Yeah, about the same as old Ramirez put on. But what it was a fun fight, and and that came out of nowhere. At the very least, entertaining. Jimmy Kelly came there to win.
Yeah, they are fun fights. And similar to Demetrius Ballard, who came to win for the first couple of rounds in his fight, Jimmy Kelly had a good start. He exposed some of the flaws in Jaime Munguia's style yet again. He was on his toes, confident, punching pretty hard and accurately. he had that confidence from having defeated Kanat Islam last time out, but once Eric Morales gave Munguia the rocket and that uppercut started landing, it was just a huge ask for Kelly then to even stay in the contest. He couldn't manage it in the end. He tried to fight fire with fire. Maybe grabbing hold for dear life might have been a better strategy once he got hurt. You mentioned Dennis Hogan. I also thought about him. He caused Munguia quite a few issues. That was a while back now, but Kelly implemented similar kind of raiding tactics. Munguia, as I mentioned, he's got his flaws, but he brings a fantastic crowd. He brings excitement. He brings knockouts. At some point, they're going to have to step him up. But at the moment, I'm kind of enjoying it in a strange way. Anyone half decent is going to take his head off, I would expect. But good to see Anthony Farnell in the Kelly corner before I forget. He was a solid fighter back in the day. It was old Farnell. I haven't seen him in corners for a while, so he got a good turnout as well. The whole card was just fun from what I saw. Oscar was coked up to the nuts. He said there was about 12,000 there. As we all look at Bellew the week later, he didn't have a clue who Jimmy Kelly was. But Kelly will get another payday out of this, hopefully, because I thought he gave a good account of himself. But Munguia, he's fun. He gets the knockout. What more can you ask for, I suppose?
Yeah, it was. He is what he is, and I enjoy it. Like I said, I'd love for him to fight Jarrett Hurd. I still think that'd be a fun fight. I don't
Could you, Matty, what would be the over-under in the rehydration between them two after the weigh-in?
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, they might as well just have it at cruiserweight because that's where they're ending up. Yeah, it's. I'll tell you, Munguia makes me think. I can't help but think of Margarito when I see Munguia, Steve. Limited. He's got a hell of a punch. He's got good output. But and it took Margarito quite a while to develop his skills too. You know, he lost quite a bit early in his career.
Yeah, I think Munguia's slowed down slightly. He's a lot more refined now under Morales, a lot more calm and calculated. I made the comparisons early on in his career that he was like an excitable puppy. He was bounding in and out. And don't forget, he has some decent wins on his record. I'm pretty sure he beat Liam Smith as well, who also beat Jimmy Kelly during his reign of destruction at light middleweight as the WBO champion. So they're fairly finding these opponents out, but it's all about the step up for me now. Not that there's any great rush because of his age. And if he's selling out arenas like he is, everybody's excited to see him and he's knocking people out, then he could maybe be that exciting sideshow on the zone. But at some point, they're going to have to give him a decent opponent, and I'd worry for him then defensively. But he has the power to hurt anybody, and I'm kind of conflicted on him. I enjoy his fights. When he comes around, the crowd gets you into it. I mean, going from that to that Puerto Rican thing, I watched that first, you see, and then I watched that LeBron versus LeBron fight I was referring to earlier, and it was night and day. At least, like I said, he's knocking people out, and they're enjoying themselves in the crowd, and that goes a long way.
Yeah. Just entertainment is part of the game. For some people, they're not going to ever be the A level, but if they can be entertaining, they can make a good living, and I'm just fine with that. Yeah. So, also on that card, Oscar Duarte taking out Mark Bernaldez in the 8th round in what was a pretty entertaining fight where Bernaldez looked to be done at many points, only to wing back a few good punches, eventually being overwhelmed by Duarte. Steve, I'm judging at this point that you and I were the only ones that saw this card, so I guess it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth.
Yeah.
This guy is just a fucking physical specimen, though. What a beast. The flaws are there, but he's going to be there for at least the first half dozen rounds, walking you down.
Yeah, you're going to have to hold my hand through these cards, Matty, because I did watch all of this card, and I watched all of there was a DAZN card on Friday night, wasn't the Bermudez against Kuraguchi or something like that. So I don't want to get anybody mixed up here. So Duarte, yeah, he knocked out the little Filipino fella, didn't he, in the 8th round? That was without an accumulation stoppage, and the referee jumped in the end, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty badly beaten up at that point in time.
Yeah, that's right. He was knocking him about, and Gerard White stepped in and got rid of him. I was thinking of the other one, actually. Evan Sanchez, he was the undefeated prospect, and he went fire for toe-to-toe, didn't he, with Carlos Ortiz, and he got absolutely banged out with a left hand. That was a good stoppage as well. And I saw the women's fight for my sins, Villa Lobos against Valle. Yeah, Villa Lobos was 5-3, fighting for an IBF world title at minimum weight against Valle. I watched that too. No, performance of the night for me, apart from Munguia, was that Ortiz knocking out that Sanchez. Sanchez just didn't have any respect for his power and got absolutely banged out. But yeah, that Duarte, yeah, he's a big old unit, and he 23-1 and 118 knockouts. Yeah, can't really add too much about him, but I'll watch him again.
Yeah, Sanchez, cocky little undefeated fighter there, and he paid the price. Ortiz, 13-5, 13 knockouts. Win or lose, somebody is going to be eating some canvas when that guy's in the ring. You got to appreciate those folks for what they are.
Ozzy saw Munguia as well, Matty.
Ozzy, did you see that? Go, feel free to jump in
Yeah.
on the zone card there. We've kind of bounced a bit on
Well,
it. So yeah, your
no,
thoughts.
I only saw the main event, and I was surprised by Jimmy Kelly's performance. Actually, I thought he had the better of the opening four. To be honest, I think the concerning thing from Munguia's perspective is the way he was so often tagged by Jimmy Kelly, who, for me, is nowhere near, shouldn't be anywhere near, world level. He was obliterated by Liam Smith. Has gone away under obscurity, really, and is somewhat trying to reinvent himself in America, a bit like what Spike O'Sullivan's done, really. O'Sullivan still bizarrely gets paydays, and every time he steps up, he gets chinned. But, I mean, Kelly had that, he boxed Dennis Hogan out in Australia, I think, years ago, and then from nowhere just got a random opportunity and beat Kana Asylum and box well. And then he gets presented with this opportunity, and it's how you get beat, and it's probably the best to say he just got greedy. I think he was having so much success, he got greedy, and Farnell said it in the corner, "Don't get greedy," and that's what he did, and it cost him the fight, because it was extremely close. A fight that I'd like to see would be Munguia against Eubank Jr. I think that'd be a great watch. Two fighters, no real interest in a defense or a solid defense, big shots thrown in. I think that'd be fantastic. I think as well, I think as Andre's still got the WBO title, he's on about moving up. It wouldn't shock me if the WBO order that as a vacant title, Eubank Jr. against Munguia. I think that'd be a real fan-friendly fight to watch. But for me, he's meat and drink, for a couple of fighters at 160, because ultimately, you just can't take shots like that against the best fighters. I still think Golovkin would do a job on him now, and Golovkin is not the fighter he was, but I think Golovkin would chin him quite easily. If he's getting chinned like he did off Jimmy Kelly, there's no way he's taking the shots of Gennady Golovkin, even at age, what is he, 38, 39? But you're right, there is a place in the sport for him because he is entertaining. He's exactly the opposite of what Belanga is at the moment, who's just dull. Munguia is entertaining. They do need to step him up because they can't keep fighting people like this, because, again, you maybe do become a bit stale. Does it get the butterflies going? Do you do all your runs? Do you do everything when knowingly you are better than that opponent and you are a level above? You don't have those butterflies to get you excited and up for the fight. And ultimately, was that down to the performance from where he was willing to take a shot? But yeah, I think for me, I'd love to see the Eubank Jr. fight. I know they called out Charlo again. I just can't see that happening. But the Eubank Jr. fight is definitely doable. And I think, that is a fight that can't fail to produce.
Rob, I'm taking it that's you with that funky Greek name going on there.
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah, just wait till we get to the value of the week, buddy. Brits in Greece, there's some stories to be had there.
Well, I'm not a Brit, so don't ever fucking say disrespect me again like that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. North Atlantic Islanders. I'm gonna lump you guys in that way. North Atlantic Islanders.
No, buddy, joking. It's all love. Having a good crack out here with some very nice British people. Actually, we're all getting on together, doing great things for Anglo-Irish relations.
So let me. We're getting a little bit caught up here, but let's see where we're at. If you saw the Munguia fight, if you saw the MSG card, or if you saw Inoue against Donaire, give me your thoughts on that, and we'll move on forward.
Yeah, saw everything pretty much. Was
impressive.
Just kind of catching up on stuff. I was like, yeah. Well, I'm on vacation, like, so I was fucking taking it easy, like watching a few fights at night time when everyone's asleep. So, called Inoue, like, you get a crack at it the first time with the monster, but Jen his knockout capabilities and at the stage that no shame in losing the monster, but it was going to happen. I thought gloves and all that. I don't know too much about that, to be honest with you, but Inoue is what he's billed as, a complete monster, and he wiped Donaire out. Has Donaire retired? Are we up to speed on that?
I don't think I've seen anything specific on that. Have you guys?
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised if Donaire carries on. A lot of people are calling for his retirement, but I wouldn't be one bit surprised if Donaire, just the fighter he is, comes back and even has a big win. But I just think when you're fighting a guy like that, it's fucking you're up against the best of times alone. You're in the twilight of your career. So saw that, saw the biting pride of Puerto Rico, Berlanga. What the fuck was that? Puerto Rican Day. What a letdown for the Puerto Ricans. Like they're such big fight fans and everything. They got such a staunch boxing community. Like, and to fight like that, like first Angulo got holds, whatever, but in a way, I thought Angulo won fight, like made the fight. So they robbed him, he bit him, and he tried to headbutt him. So that kind of sums up that. Like, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Berlanga. He's a letdown, isn't he? I think he's probably a bit like too reliant on his power. And I think he's still learning on the job a little bit. But he's going to come in for heavy scrutiny because he's disposed of everybody else up to this point, up until his last couple of fights. But he's not likable, is he? Even as a person, a bit of a shit. Like, so, not really one for the Puerto Ricans to be getting excited about as a next anything. They were labeling next Cotto a while back, weren't they? Like, so, that one remains to be seen. Saw Kelly actually. I find it funny because Jimmy Kelly followed me one time on Insta and then he unfollowed me, and I don't know, like, if he followed me because I said something about him on the pod and he was like trying to show me, or he just thought I was related to him, like a lost relative, but he doesn't follow me anymore anyway. But
he's not your cousin from Manchester?
Pretty well in the fight, but he looks like he could be, to be honest with you. I think he did really, really well in the fight, but just has no public.
Hey, Rob, you're cutting out real bad. Why don't you hop off and then hop back on with us?
Oh, why, has it gone bad?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
All right, hold on.
All right.
Oh, sorry, guys.
All right. All right. He'll be back when he's back. That was if you only had the control screen there, that was slightly amusing. Andy, did you find Daniel Dubois' fourth round stoppage over Trevor Bryan interesting? I didn't catch that one. I didn't see it. It's the one thing I didn't see from the weekend. I looked at everything that happened, and that was an absolute shitfest of a fucking card.
Yeah, well, pretty much, mate. I just only caught the main event. You know, in the day, we all called it fucking months and months ago as to how shockingly poor Trevor Bryan actually is. I mean, people can say that he's hard to hit or he's maybe hard to knock out, but mate, how he has got to this level in the sport and pick up some sort of version of any sort of world title was just crap, mate. It's just awful. It was just absolutely awful. At times in last night, look, he didn't even know how to slip a fucking jab, slip a right hand, no head movement, and you know you can only say that Dubois beat what's in front of him, caught him a quality left hook, put him on his ass, well, no, his ass, put him on his face. Actually, fucking he got counted out. To be honest, that's all you can really say. Dubois, obviously, I mean, look, he's still going to be a work in progress at this point. I think somebody was asking about is Joyce missed the boat here a wee bit? Who knows? But anybody with a jab in the right hand would have beat Trevor Bryan there last night, regardless of what level, that European, whatever it is, unless Don King's going to do to get something bent in the background. But that last night was just awful. At least we get Dubois now some sort of mandatory challenger to the real belt. Really, that belt he won there last night needs to be fucking binned, you know, straight away. Just call him out as mandatory challenger, strip the belt, and be done with it, because that was the whole point. These belts are meant to get rounded up and fucking thrown in the bin, yet they're still here 18 months, 2 years later, but after WBA stated we're going to try and get rid of all these belts. Other than that said, Dubois can only do what he can do. He beat the guy up, fucking badly knocked him out. And that's the end of the matter. That is the end of the matter. what happens for him next. As I say, he's going to sit on this title, this opportunity, which he's going to be sitting fucking God knows how long, another year, possibly, even longer. I mean, I don't know if he would want to give Joyce a rematch, because the Parker fight against Joyce seems to have slipped away. But him going to
Don't think he'll be in a hurry to rematch Joyce, you know, Andy.
No, I know, mate. But what's he going to do though? He's going to have to go down those WBA rankings, isn't he? And there's nothing really great shakes in front of him, to be honest with you. Would you want to go in and fight, like, say, Hellenius, maybe fight Bakola, give him a chance? But again, it's a fake belt. It's an absolute fake belt. So, look, again, I don't want to hate on the guy in that, but this was the point of these belts. They're supposed to get rounded up and put in the bin, and they're still here. So, look, just call him as mandatory challenger and be done with it. Joyce, I don't know what the hell's happening there. Parker, as I say, he's signed over to Sky, so that fight seems to be a bit slipped away. Maybe they look for Dillian White rematch, possibly. They maybe get Otto Wallen for Dubois. I don't know about options at this point, but he did what he did last night, and that was the end of the matter, mate. He done his job. That's all I can say.
There you go. Do either of you guys have an opinion on this fight? It doesn't sound like there's much to say.
You go, honestly.
Yeah, Andy kind of summed it up, really. I mean, we all knew, you know, Trevor Bryan was some sort of cartoon character, signed with Don King, you know, struggled, you know, realistically against that. He was the guy who we boxed last time, that bloody Jonathan Guidry. I don't know how he knocked out Bermain Stiverne, by the way. I honestly do not know that. But yeah, Dubois did what he had to do. I thought Bryan did kind of look. He was terrible, but you could tell he'd been in a ring from where he was initially difficult to hit by, you know, with just a straight 1-2. Dubois' jab was excellent. It always is, and it dictated the fight. I thought Frampton on commentary was excellent and called a couple of things in terms of Dubois neglecting the body. The way they, you know, just targeting the body with a jab, which then would break things up and create more openings. But the left hook that he threw, I don't care what fighter it was, that was a peach. That was an absolute peach. Bryan did not see it coming, and it just iced him. He was, you know, he was like he'd just done a load of spice on the floor. He couldn't get up. He was all over the place. He was a complete mess. I thought Dubois looked more athletic under McGuigan. I thought he had a bit more about him. Still, you know, I think a bit reliant on his 1-2, but I think that will come as he progresses. He's only 24. There's no rush to get him right to the top. I get why they have chosen this route in terms of picking up this belt as an accolade. Is he a world champion? Technically on paper, yes, but we all know he's not. It's a regular version, and he's just like many other fighters, you know, Lee Ward, who gets referred to as a world champion. I don't care if Santa Cruz hasn't boxed in the division for years. He doesn't hold that, hold the full title. Therefore, it doesn't, you know, ultimately Ward is just a regular champion. So for Dubois, I think this fight's available for him. I don't think he rematches Joyce next. I don't think that is in what Frank's interest to do that next. For Joyce, I mean, it's a big blow that Parker signing with Boxer. I'd love to know the route they're going to go with him, because, you know, they've no heavyweights. What they're going to do? Joe Parker against Nathan Gorman or something like that. Sadly, going to put bums on seats. I think they need to be looking at, you know, probably similar sort of opponents now for Joyce and, you know, for Joyce and Dubois, really. You know, Chisora's tied up. So I think, you know, maybe Joyce should fight someone like Robert Hellenius. The winner of Fury against Michael Hunter is going to be mandatory for Dubois, actually. Don't think Dubois has any issues with Fury or Hunter. You want to see Dubois active, probably want to see him fight again in September, October time. I think an opponent like Sergey Kuzmin wouldn't be bad for Dubois. Kaunaki's tied up, you know, maybe a Carlos Takam. A fight for Joyce, maybe. Ajit Kabayel. You know, he was on the scene a couple of years ago and has just seemingly vanished. But yeah, it's difficult now, you know, with the belt situation. They're all tied up. I don't know what they're going to do. But for Dubois, I said last week that he couldn't afford a poor performance in this because it would be detrimental to his career. And he certainly didn't put on a poor performance. I thought he was good. Brian, poor. But don't take anything away from Dubois.
When you're
He was
fighting on a
good.
Don King card, Oz, when you're fighting on a Don King card, you rise to the occasion. You rise.
Mate, that card was a fucking disgrace, by the way. I mean, it looked like it was in some, like, gym at high school. It was weird, and you just had people, like, eating food, eating meals ringside. King was just slobbed out in a chair and showed no reaction when his fighter Brian got, fell to the floor. It was just so weird to watch. They had one camera, basically, it's like they just stuck a webcam up or something like that, and that was just showing the fight in itself. It was bizarre. It was ludicrous. I'd love to know if these two are going to get paid, by the way, because he was in the red on purse bids by about $2.5 million, $3 million. So fuck knows how he's generated the money from that. He's either, laundering cash through other sources, or he's simply not going to pay them. And
his
I put a tweet out
relationship
last
with
night.
the WBA, they are Panama, they are on the route up
Somebody
north.
else's cash, no doubt about it.
There could be.
Well, I said last night, Daniel Dubois is set to be paid over $1 million for that fight against Trevor Bryan. That is without a doubt the best business decision of his career, because he got $1 million to fight, just a parody, basically, a better Christopher Lovejoy type of thing. It was absurd, absolutely absurd. And it was quite amusing to watch, really. I think, it was terrible, but it was amusing to watch. And you think, like, what is King playing at? Why is he bothering? But yeah, for Dubois, we don't need to see him dicking around with opponents like Brian anymore. Brian shouldn't really, I can't see what they're going to do with him. But for Dubois, yeah, showed improvements. For me, he's with the best trainer in the country in McGuigan. I think he'll only get better. I like the opponents they were calling out. Someone like a Dillian White. I think Dubois would stop White now, and I think it would be early. Realistically, that's not going to happen. So start looking at ones that will develop his skills even more. Prior to Joyce, the one opponent he did struggle to break down was like a Kevin Johnson. So maybe like a Takam, who has got, decent punch resistance, smaller opponent as well. We'll ask some different questions, because I refer back, he's only 24. There's absolutely no rush to get him to, the top of world level yet, because he's probably not at that level yet, but there's nothing wrong with that. He's got time on his side, and if you time it right, and boxing is all about timing, there's no reason why Dubois in a couple of years can't be, one of, if not the best of the lot. And it's all about timing and manage his career in the right way now. That Joyce rematch is always going to be available down the line. Doesn't need to happen next whatsoever for me.
Well, we'll see what happens there. The British heavyweight title scene is kind of a clusterfuck of epic proportions.
Matty, can I just jump in, because I have to defend my Trevor Bryan stance?
Of course.
Because I know I wasn't joking when I said last week that I thought Trevor Bryan would last a bit longer than people expected. I wasn't trolling. I'll own it. I just thought that he had that strange ability to soak up pressure, with his big fat belly, and just last some rounds. But I'm going to have to throw my hands up here. Not unlike Trev himself. Turns out he was just as shit as everyone suggested. His skills are like white collar standard. Now, he was able to slip a few shots, half block them, but his offensive output, negligible. So slow, no power, a big useless lump. There's no way he should have been anywhere near anything purporting to be a world title. He's barely British title class, I think. And one of the reasons Daniel Dubois was wary, didn't put his foot on the gas more quickly, is because I was thinking to himself, this guy can't be this bad. He must have something up his sleeve. That's the only reason why Dubois didn't go fully in with the big shots, I think. Trev's got to have something up his sleeve here, I think. And at the end, when he caught him with that cracker of a shot, as Ozzy said, he finished him off really well. I'll close, Matty, just quickly say, the whole occasion was just bizarre, but I loved it. And I'm a big fan of boxing carnivals. It had a great slogan, a woman singing the national anthem dressed like a tangerine. There was flags everywhere. Don King causing a ruckus in his 90s, still playing a part in the heavyweight division. I loved it.
It's
Here, which British promoter do you think is going to end up like Don King at some point, like 9-year-old sitting ringside, look like he just shit his pants?
Eddie.
Nah, I don't think
Dennis Hobson on the car park, sitting in a Land Rover.
Yeah, I just find it shocking from what you guys are describing that there was far better production done in Manila in the 70s than in Florida in 2022.
Mate, it was a joke. The production was. Look, I'm all for. I've always said, I don't care about the bright lights and and the big fireworks and that sort of stuff. It's all about the quality in the ring. But last night was just amusing. Fuck me. I think I could have gone and bought a cheap camera from Tesco and done a better job with that. On a little camcorder or something like that. It was so odd, and like I said, the venue as well was bizarre. It was. You've just got to laugh at it. You've got to laugh at it. You can't take it too serious whatsoever. I mean, Don King is just on his way out because he forgot Trevor Bryan's name after the fight. He couldn't remember it. He just referred to him as my fighter. He just couldn't remember his name, and then it clicked, like 30 seconds after the question. But yeah, it's just one of them. Amusing. And I'd love to know why fighters still sign with him as well. Why? Why do they sign with him? Fucking Ilunga Makabu. Why are you signing with Don King? You've got a world title at cruiserweight. Could go and get paid a fortune, and you tied him with Don King.
Did you see Adam Hughes' comment on the screen? He said Dubois will definitely get paid. Don King swore on his nan's life.
Exactly. Well, it's worth fuck all that. Well, yeah, exactly. I'll be genuinely interested if they do get paid. Really interested, because King must hate money. If that's the case, quite right, he should pay.
He's absolutely minted, isn't he? He's so rich.
See, call me crazy. Yeah. I just feel like for the heavyweight quote unquote title fight, there should be more camera angles than there are from altercations at Walmart.
Hey, Matty, let me throw something in quickly because I wasn't able to cut it for Bellew of the Week, but it's worth a mention. Friend of the pod, Dominic Henry, shout out, sent me a link to a Seconds Out video beforehand of the press conference. You had Don King standing there, you had the MC behind him, all the flags, you had Francis Warren sitting down, and Don King's, he said something about, he was on about the WBA heavyweight situation, and he says, it's the champion in recess. Not the champion in incest, which is to do with like your family members and stuff. I wasn't able to get it cut, but I thought it was well worth it.
Anyhow,
King, man.
Oh man, he's gonna end up being 105 years old ringside at a fight that he's promoting, and it's just fucking crazy.
What happened to Carl King, Matty? Do you remember his stepson? He was promoting it for a while and managing, wasn't he?
He'll be getting his cut somewhere in the background, didn't you? He'll be getting his 25%, didn't you?
He's probably Brian's advisor or something, Matty, isn't he?
Aye.
He's probably he's probably working between King and the WBA and however that whole thing functions. Anyhow, someone who is not a big lump, who actually seems to have a little bit of quality, Richard Reactor, taking out Fabio Turchi in 2 rounds. I was able to catch that stoppage. It just seems like you just brutalized that guy, Andy. Where's this big cruiserweight beast headed?
I think I was eliminated there last night, mate. So potentially the winner when Brett is fighting, he's got that. Is he no fighting in Australia sometime soon?
It was supposed to be in May, and then that cat got injured, and who fucking knows anymore?
Yeah. As for Reactor, this was the only fight I caught in that card. If his time's going to be any time, it's going to be now actually, because he is up in age. I think he's well in his early 30s at this point. Turchi, as I say, I've seen fleet moments of him. Someone on the Zone Italy cards was never impressed with, to be honest with you. I think even Paul McCarthy's got one over him. So look, body shot, I think it was a left hook, I think, to the body. That was it. Took a bit. Well, he did get up actually, but Connor stepped in, stopped the fight. You could see that he was struggling to get his win back under match. He was going to get stopped at some point. So yeah, mercifully the fight was called off. As I say, he's next in line, I believe, for the Brevis winner against, I think, that guy's name. Anybody can kind of tee it off for me?
I remember, is it a Croatian sounding name, or am I imagining?
Yeah, begins by an O. I just pulled up a box rate article, actually. He was actually for the number 2 spot. So it wasn't a final eliminator after all, actually. So that would put him in line with possibly Billum Smith, maybe. Who's he with these days? He's still a boxer. I might get him because I see the number 1 and number 2 spot are actually vacant at this point. For the
Nah, Billum Smith's with Eddie and DAZN, isn't he? Because they fought. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So that'll be him going into number 2. I'm assuming there'll be some sort of fight arranged in between there that he will, someone will get the number 1 spot. But so I dare say how it works: 1 and 2 get the box off for the mandatory slot. So whoever Reactor,
it doesn't matter. They make it up as they go, Andy. Fucking
yeah.
What's the point of rationalizing it?
The IBF are actually no bad actually when it comes to their rules. Always leave the 1 and 2 vacant, and they always seem to get the A2 to kind of fight it out for the champion, so to speak. But we'll wait and see.
The one
thing great.
I
That Sky card was awful last night, mate. To be honest with you, I looked at it before I went to my bed. That's like, fuck that.
Was that the one with Chris Congo, or was that a totally different card?
No, it was the same card, I think, mate.
Okay.
Same card. I never caught any undercard though.
Oz, did you catch the rest of that card?
I only saw bits and pieces, to be honest. I didn't think it was great, really. I said what Reactor would do last week. If he has anything about him, he'll end this fight early, and he did that. Turchi's shit. Look at his record. He's padded it out in Italy, fighting nobodies. He had a first meaningful step up against Tommy McCarthy, got beat, and then they brought him over. He's tough, he can punch. No, he's not at all. He's just got a fad of a record, and Reactor blitzed him. Not sure how it was an eliminator. I've seen, Calla Sowland calling him out, Reactor now saying Bradis will get his mandatory out the way, and then we're there to take the fight. I want to say Bradis has been horrendously looked after by the Sowlands. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. They have not got a clue what to do with him. They talked about the Lawrence Okoli fight. We're going to make a big offer. That offer must be coming via carrier pigeon because it's still not fucking arrived to him. They then went on having him dressing up as fucking Super Mario, calling out, what's his face? Jake Paul. I mean, what they're doing with him, it's an embarrassment. I wouldn't mind. Bradis is a bloody good fighter as well. And they're having him, do a bit of a sideshow act, really, chasing after fucking Jake Paul, which was never going to happen. And now, they've got this weird mandatory out in Australia. And then the resorted to calling out the likes of Richard Reactor. It's bizarre, really. I actually think Sky and Reactor will target Makabu. I think that's a makeable fight. I think that's a very winnable fight for Reactor as well, because they've not got time to wait with him, really. I think, he's 32. He's done domestic level already. So, I mean, I'd like to see him have, that one more fight, maybe against like a Masternak. I always think he's a great yardstick, for that. Not world level, but fringe world level and certainly European level. I think that would be a good fight for him next. But if they can get that, if they can get the Makabu fight, take it without a doubt. I thought Congo was okay against Formella. Thought he was a bit predictable at times, but a rightful winner. There was another fight on that undercard as well, wasn't there? Something quite meaningful.
Zach Chelly against Jermaine Brown.
Oh yeah. Got that one wrong. I thought Brown would be a bit too slick and good for Chelly, but thought Chelly was decent. Good fighter actually. Chelly. Box well, carries power. Certainly, I think he's going to become mandatory for the winner of Lennox Clark against Mark Heffron for the British title. So that that's good. That'll definitely be a decent domestic fight down the line. But overall, I saw some people going wild about the undercard, saying it was great. Disagree. I think they spent all this time bigging up Lauren Price. By the way, Olympian, won gold. And then they announced her opponent 2 days prior. And then instead of interviewing her, they decide to announce Joseph Parker's signed for him. So a bit odd, really. They've made a big deal about women's boxing and they made a big play for Lauren Price. And they've basically just completely ruined a debut all week, chucking her in with some chump. And then, in terms of where people want to hear from her, they've decided to announce somebody else's sign with a promotional outfit. So a bit odd, really. Very odd. But But overall for Riakpo, another good night. People are talking about him and they're keeping him active. So it's just a case of who they're going to get for him now. He's been matched well since Sky have brought him back, actually. I like the route they've gone with him. And if you can get an eliminator with Turchi, fine. Actually, I think Duradola beat Turchi, so and Riakpo battered him. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do next, that's for sure.
What card was it that Leach was boxing on, Oz? I swear I remember you talking about that. Okay,
That was the BT card, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a totally different card. Steve, did you see that one?
No, I didn't see the BT one. I was only half watching the Sky card, and then I saw at the end of Leach and Telford looked like they're having a good time. And I was hosting the Nutters calling show. I'll just say about Riakpo quickly because I know Ozzy probably saw a bit of the BT card, but I did expect Riakpo to stop Turchi at some point. He's a legitimate puncher. Didn't expect him to finish him so early. Turchi's experience, decent southpaw. I was slightly surprised, like Des was saying, that they actually jumped in on the body shot. I thought it was clearly a peach of a shot, but it wasn't a head shot. He'd never been stopped before. I thought they'd let it go on. But Riakpo's improving fighter. I like him. He's already exceeded expectations. I don't see any reason why he can't fight for a world title in the near future. At the end of the day, he's no worse than guys like Dylan Prazovic, who's already challenged for a world title. So I do kind of like Riakpo and look forward to his fights because he always brings an exciting finish most of the time.
Oz, go ahead and take it on that BT card.
Yeah, so main event produced the goods. Great fight. Really enjoyed it. Surprised at the winner. I thought Leach should have a bit too much for him, but not seen a fighter in a long time have so much success with landing a straight right hand. And Davis was good. Looked really good for, it's been matched well since signing with Frank. But I thought he could have done with another step up prior to fighting Leach, who I think is a really talented fighter. And Queensberry should persist with him, without a doubt. If you think Davis is going to be the goods and, progress, Leach can, without a doubt, still get to a similar level. It was close. I thought the result was fair. And I think Jamie Moore, fair play to him, came out and said, nothing against, the result. It was close, but we can accept why Davis won. The one card I have a joke with, and it's, I've slagged him off numerous times before, it's fucking Tubby Terence O'Connor again. Something like 118, 111. What is he watching to see this? What is he watching? Because I've no fucking clue how he came to that. It was, a round or two either way. For me, Davis, but if Leach should have pinched it by a round, I could see why. But to have it so wide, I don't understand what he is watching. You see him ringside, he's slouched in his chair, big fucking unit, can barely move. And you think, do you even want to be there? Are you even interested? Because he turns in poor cards week after week, and it's a shambles. And, Ian John Lewis was made an example of for returning poor cards. O'Connor's just as fucking bad. And it's jobs for the boys. People like him just need to be sacked off. The BBBFC couldn't wait to get rid of Mickey Van. Played the age card, that sort of stuff. O'Connor needs to be fucked off because he's ruining cards every week. And yeah, the result was fair. And I thought the other two judges were fine in the cards they returned. But fucking O'Connor's he's not got a clue. He's not got a clue. And nothing is going to change. You see Robert Smith, he's blasé about it. And, probably it would have accused me of having 12 pints last night. That's why I'm having a go at O'Connor. Sober as a judge, that sort of stuff. The guy's just shit. He's inept. Should not be allowed to judge or referee again because, fighters put the fucking careers on the lines. You saw in South Africa, that fighter died. The one who was basically boxing an invisible opponent. He fucking died. We don't need to see these stupid cards, these poor cards get turned in anymore. And it's not right. It is not right whatsoever. And you get fucking sick of talking about it because it's week in, week out. And I do believe, in the UK, we have got some of the best officials, but without a doubt, we have got some of the worst as well. And until something changes, they expand that panel or serious punishments happen, nothing is going to change whatsoever. And we're still going to see these poor cards returned. And ultimately, because Liam Davis was probably the rightful winner, nothing will get said about it. but that does not make it right. But taking nothing away from Davis, I thought last night was a big coming out night for him, and he's beat a legit champion there in Leach. You know, he's not just some guy who fluked a belt. Leach is a legit British champion. Don't need to see him rush yet. You know, I don't think he's ready for Jason Cunningham. The Andrew Kane fight is there, which was made. That's a big fight, that. But Kane's on about going down to bantamweight, so that might be one for down the line. But yeah, you know, he seemed to have a decent little backing in Telford. You know, people were cheering him on, bit of volume. There's quite a lot to like about him. The only other fight I saw was on the undercard was Ijaz Ahmed against Kais Kademi. Wasn't watching it, you know, solidly. Again, they may as well move in together, these two, because they always fucking draw. I think they've had 3 fights now, 2 draws, and one was a split decision. So it shows how close it was. You know, decent enough fight. Didn't really score it, but when you've got both sides thinking they can, you know, they were worthy winners. You know, I saw a lot of people say Ahmed should have won. A lot said Kademi should have won. One judge scored it for one fighter, one for the other, and then the third scored it a draw. So can you have too many arguments about it? Probably not. Will we see a 4th fight? Don't know. I mean, the fight's always going to be there when you've had a trilogy and then, you know, you've had 2 draws in it. I think the only fight I can remember similar was, do you remember Tom Stoker against Craig Evans? Pretty sure they had 3 fights and 2 were draws, and then Evans battered him in the 3rd fight. But yeah, I mean, but last night's, you know, BT card wasn't great either. I can't sit here and slag Skies off and then praise BTs. I enjoyed the main event, you know, for BT and the chief support, if you were to call it. But the rest of the card's rubbish. And these cards have got to be better. You know, I've no interest in seeing Prospect against, you know, Journeyman. You know, they're boring. You know, when BT, you know, came into the sport, Warren was putting on, you know, like basically area level fights, you know, a 10-0 against an 8-0. We need to be seeing more of these now, because viewers don't want to be seeing, you know, like fucking, you know, a Prospect against, you know, Iliev Popov, who's like 4-95 and never gets stopped, because you know what's coming and it's boring. The cards have got to improve, and, you know, it's too easy to slag Eddie off and stuff like that. But, you know, overall, the UK cards haven't been fantastic recently, because we see too many of these one-sided mismatches, and they're not good to watch. They're boring, and you do switch off because of it.
Amen. Got a couple more to go through. Steve, let's see. Oh, let me check. Cool. You are there. I was like afraid in the private chat that one time I don't check and you are in the bathroom or something, but you are there. The Showbox card from the United States on Friday. Give us your thoughts. We were obviously robbed of that fight that I had in our prediction league. I'd so much for looking forward to a fight between undefeated heavyweights. Damn me for getting my hopes up. But you saw the rest of the show. Give us the deal there.
Oh yes, that your fight that you picked was supposed to be on this show. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. It's, you know, best laid plans and all that shit.
Is that heavyweight title fight?
Yeah, it was supposed to be on the Showbox card. That's right, on Friday night. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I did watch the show. So he had Tyler Tomlin. He was an undefeated lightweight from Tennessee. He got busted up by a guy called Chan Thompson, who was already also undefeated as well. It was a bad cut on that one. Then you had George Arias. I thought he was like a shit journeyman heavyweight, but it turns out he's 17-0. Unless this is the son of another George Arias. But anyway, he outboxed Delante Green, who was supposed to be a bit of a prospect. Don Trello was on the cards. He gave it to Green. The other two gave it rightfully to Arias, and he got the victory. Green was a 4-time Golden Gloves champion in Cleveland, but he's going on Skid Row. Bakadir Jalalov, he knocked out Jack Mulawayi, who was a Democratic Republic of Congo fighter based in Belgium. He was going to the body nicely, Jalalov. He was very much 1-2. He threw 173 jabs and he landed 14. So the jab isn't very much a power punch for him. It's more of a distracting kind of pouring tool. I thought he looked a little bit clumsy at times, very much like an early 2000s German heavyweight. But he was going to the body, and as Mulawawi started to power down, he was just touching him, and then caught him with an absolute cracker of a left hand in the 8th round, knocked him out cold with about a minute to go. And there was a bit of worry for him, and he got him, picked him up and took him back to his corner when he woke up. So all's well that ends well. He's going places, Jalilov. He's 27. Raul Marquez likes the look of him. A little bit plodding, a little bit lumbering, but he's 6'7" at the end of the day. He's going to have the power to take out anybody. Is he going to be a dominant champion? Not too sure at this point. But yeah, Showbox cards are good. I like them actually, Matty, on a Friday night.
Yeah, I was, unfortunately, I was enjoying a fantastic meal at Linger in Denver where I enjoyed a short rib pancake with scallions, and it was absolutely delicious, as well as a barbecue Mongolian duck bon, which is like a soft bun kind of sandwich. It's absolutely delicious.
Where was that, did you say, Matty?
Linger in Denver, Colorado. You're going to have to fly on over, Steve.
Dakota Linger, remember him?
Oh yeah. Linger was the theme. It was the theme. Dakota Linger. God, that sounds like a porn star's name. Am I wrong or am I wrong?
Stuffed with Mongolian duck from you.
Fucking A. Tell you though, what Steve? I thought the fight of the weekend was on a DAZN card on Friday, which was an enjoyable enough card. Marilyn Rivas getting a fourth round stoppage over Karina Fernandez, just dropping her in the first and then just battering her. And then Eduardo Hernandez getting a surprising first round stoppage over surging Jorge Castaneda. But Steve, the story for me, Hiruto Kayaguchi taking out Esteban Bermudez in 8 rounds. Yeah, it was a little bit one-sided, but that Bermudez would just not go away. He kind of is just brutal up until the very end. Another fun fight between a Mexican and a Japanese fighter. They produced the goods.
Yeah, they did actually. On the hardcore this weekend, I watched this from start to finish while I was painting the living room. Esteban Bermudez, he's 14-3-2, but he gave his all. He took a beating. His face was an absolute mess. He got slashed up by Kayaguchi. Kayaguchi's good, he's accurate, but he takes a few shots in return. He's not unhittable, but Bermudez just didn't have the power to move him. I think in the end, Kayaguchi got a couple of points deducted. One for a headbutt, which I thought was slightly harsh, and then one for hitting Bermudez behind the head, which was probably fair. But I thought to myself, no, referee Roberto Ramirez isn't going to pull a swift one here, is he? And try and disqualify Kayaguchi, but he didn't. In the end, he stopped it in the 8th round, justifiably. Undercard as well, yeah, Castaneda got knocked out by Hernandez. That was a bit of a brutal knockout. Myelin Rivas against Karina Fernandez, the fight you were referring to there. Karina Fernandez was terrible. She shouldn't have been in the ring, unfortunately. She was really poor
That
quality.
was shit, man. That was
head
shit.
down, Andy throwing shots like a barroom brawler, man. She should not have been in the ring. She was really, really low standard of a fighter, I thought. But at least Rivas got rid of her. That's the main thing.
A bad couple of opponents in these women's fights over the weekend. I have to agree with you. Definitely not a good look from the DAZN cards as far as that.
And Pacheco, Matty, I'll mention Pacheco quickly. He got rid of that Raul Ortega. The best moment was afterwards when they tried to simmer up a bit of beef between Pacheco and Lerone Richards. The girl, a woman you call her Claudia Treos, apparently.
Yeah.
She was the comment. She says, do you want to fight Lerone Richards? And Pacheco's like, who? What? Lerone Richards. Who's that? He's a fighter from the UK. Do you want to fight him? What? So intense beef going on at ringside there.
That Pacheco fight was good while it lasted, and he got staggered with that right hand. Those tall, lanky guys. Yeah.
That's a worry about it, because that guy's generally a welterweight, to be fair. And he got touched up. It says he dropped his left hand after he jabbed, didn't get it back in time. He's got clipped there, chin in the air, right hand. Bigger guy, or someone kind of similar size of him could have put him banging deep border, to be honest with you. So, wee bit of work in progress required there, to be honest. Steve says the women's fight was absolutely deplorable. I mean, that woman looked like she'd never fought before, to be fair.
That fight was so deplorable. It should have been at the Capitol on January 6th.
And she still didn't stop her.
No, I know. But I just want to throw my 2 cents in the berth about Kayaguchi. It says that win now basically hopefully sets up the long-awaited unification with Ken Shiro, who won his belt back at WBC. So maybe an old Japanese super fight for Eddie to maybe put on over in Japan, maybe. We'll wait and see what happens there. But Kayaguchi, there's a lot to like about him. Like, I mean, he lets his hands go, he's slipping in those shots, winging them in. But as Steve says as well, he can get caught. Plus, there was a few headbutts in that as well in that fight. Obviously, Bermudez as well. He was coming in close, but obviously the style and how they were kind of slipping in there. So it can be a bit of a problem as well. So maybe something to watch. But Kayaguchi's always been decent to watch. And I would favour him actually if the fight was to get made against Kenshiro. I would definitely favour him to beat Kenshiro on possible by stoppage as well.
What great uppercuts he throws too. Nice short uppercuts, and I gotta love the way that he lands those.
Uppercuts and hooks, mate. Just the full repertoire as to how he goes about it is really, really excellent. Didn't he look too good in his last fight against that? What was his name? Was it Aragon or what was his name?
Was it Axel Vega, the little short guy?
Axel Vega, that's his name. He was like 4'5" or something. Really hard.
4'9". He's not
4'9".
quite that short, but yeah,
It was really hard to catch. I think even Kaiguchi possibly hurt his hand because he maybe landed on top of his head at one point during that fight. But as I say, he's really talented fighter. Just need to see these guys now. There's not so much see these guys, but we want to see unification fights. We want to see these belts get tied up because I'm sick and tired of seeing all these different belt holders. That we need to get more unifications, especially down in the smaller weight classes. Mainly after like Chocolatito's kind of like stepped up as well. So even though he didn't get many unification fights, now I think about it, but it's something that needs to be tidied up a wee bit, I think.
Hey, isn't Bam staying at 112 pounds?
Yeah, he's fighting Rungvisai. He's fighting Rungvisai in 2 weeks' time, I think.
Yeah,
I thought that's not at 115.
Is it 115?
That'd be up 115,
Okay.
surely, wouldn't it? Rungvisai wouldn't be coming down.
He must be moving up then. That's a shame because I kind of would have liked Kaiguchi against Bam at 112.
Well, there's always Kaiguchi against. Well, it depends where he wins actually, but he took a beating obviously off Gonzalez. But what about your man? What's he called? Oh,
Martinez.
Martinez, Julio Cesar Martinez. He's fighting on that the zone card as well. He's fighting.
Yeah, and he still has his title, doesn't he? He went up to yep.
Yeah, that's right. McWilliams Arroyo, I think he's fighting in his next defense.
Arroyo could sneak that from him. He's a tricky little fucking fighter.
Possibly.
And I mean, Martinez showed a lot of holes in his game. I mean, a lot of holes.
Yeah, so. I mean, Prime got beat out of him as well. On you go, Steve.
No, I was just gonna clarify something briefly, Matty, just in case the pedants get me in the comments. Obviously, of course, Rivas did stop Fernandez, but it was like a busted face rather than a clean knockout. But it was a mercy that needed stop because it was so one sided. I was starting to feel bad for you, woman. I thought she was gonna get badly hurt. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Sorry, I got to put these back to back from Ricky Gravel up here real quick. He says, most of women fighters are leaving. And then he corrected and said, lesbians. I'm not making that statement, but that's just fucking hilarious. I'm going to do that again. Should have done an asterisk. It would have been perfect. God damn it.
At least he's still alive. I was a bit worried about him after Friday. At least he's still alive. So good lad, Ricky.
Oh, I tell you. Let's see here. Well, let's get into. Do we got any questions in there today, Steve?
Yeah, I think we've got 3 actually.
All right, let's get this. Magic Mike. I've never seen that movie. Let's see here. For tonight, despite losing to Joyce, is Dubois now further ahead of him in his career? Thank you very much, Mike, and thank you, for sending that question. God, I don't know about that because Oz. I mean, Joyce had that fight with Parker scheduled. It's not like he was exactly treading water. He's trying to move. And kind of got held up on that. Beating Trevor Bryan, I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, that's no grand accomplishment. So I still got to say Joyce is at least a half step ahead.
You'd certainly say Joyce is ahead because he's essentially the mandatory for the WBO. But likewise, Dubois is also, if it gets called, he's going to be the mandatory for the WBA. The big difference is that Joyce has had one fight since he beat Dubois, and that was against Takam. He's not active enough. I know he had an injury, which, scuppered him fighting earlier this year. Whereas Dubois, since he got beat off Joyce, has beat up Bogdan Dinu, that Joe Cusumano out in America on that Paul card, and then beat Trevor Bryan last night. I get the point. I'd say Dubois has been far more active. He has got a version of a world title now, which, we all know it means nothing. But to those casual people, they might just see it as, he's a world champion. They don't understand the full ins and outs of it. But really, on paper, I'd say Joyce is slightly ahead. But I think the momentum is certainly with Dubois more. More people talking about him. He's been more active. and they're probably already planning Dubois' fight in September. Joyce is only going to have a tick-over fight in July, and then that fight they had lined up with Parker, that's clearly out the window now. So they need a plan B for Joe Joyce, and I haven't got a like we were talking about it before. I don't know where they're going to go, but on paper, Joyce is ahead, but momentum is certainly with Dubois.
Every time somebody says September, I think of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Anyhow, I'm sorry that you guys don't like music as much as I do. Kiss my ass. Let's see here. Kevin, question for the pod. Which boxer has the best offspring and has any bettered their father in the game? Only one that comes to mind is Floyd. There has to be others. Andy, who are you thinking on that one? I'm with it. Which boxer has a better offspring? We're having a little bit of trouble with grammar on the questions today. My apologies. We're putting them together as we can.
It's the best offspring.
It's got to be John Fury, isn't it? Tyson.
I kind of feel like we've been sent in a couple of questions by Isaac Lowe. Thanks for listening, Isaac.
I'm actually trying to think, actually.
The thing is, a lot of guys, like their fathers boxed and they didn't go anywhere. So you didn't know really necessarily that their fathers even had boxing careers or stuff like that. You obviously have to think of, Tyson Fury, obviously. I mean, there's others, but there's so many people that we don't know that their dad was like a 2-11 fighter, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Whenever you look at it, and you could have an amazing fighter. I know his dad boxed as well, but he wasn't much cop. I think it's more the ones where the dads are really, really good. Like Floyd Sr. was a good fighter, but then the son's even better. So, I mean, you're looking at guys like Tommy Hearns. I mean, Ronald Hearns didn't do that well for himself, Camachos and that. But I know the spirit of the question, Matty, that you're putting across there.
Mikey Garcia's dad, you also got the brother as well, Roger Garcia.
Yep, you're correct.
Robert Garcia, sorry, because he was a world champion. I think the old fella was a boxer back in the day, I think. Yeah, that's the thing. You would need to actually sit and think about what dads have actually had a pro fight at least. I was thinking about Tio Lopez's dad, but I don't think he was ever a boxer, was he? I think he was a street fighter.
Aim says Ronald Gavril and Ricky Gravel.
There's got to be some folk about to have some idea. Corey Spinks, here we go.
Corey Spinks, yeah, with Leon, Chavez, Junior and Senior.
Corey is an underrated fighter, man. I mean, he wasn't
very
good
to watch, Matty, though. He wasn't good to watch, man.
Exactly.
He couldn't stay up to 4 a.m. to watch his fights.
Yes, remember that, Devin Haney. Remember that.
The thing is, Tracy Harris Patterson, I don't think was Floyd Patterson's blood son.
He was adopted, I think.
So he had an okay career, but would you say it was better than his dad's?
No.
Nah.
Aaron Pryor and his son. What was his son called? Was it Stephen?
Aaron Pryor Jr., wasn't it? No, it was Aaron Jr.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a handful. So let's see here. And then we got one from Matthew Reynolds. Hi, Steve. Just wondered what people thought of the Ali documentary on BBC iPlayer. I thought I knew a fair bit about his life, etc., but learned so much. But the wish I hadn't watched the last one showing his last 2 fights. Heartbreaking. Yeah, Ali with the mustache was definitely a sad era there, Andy.
Yeah, what fight was it again? He was taking the diuretics for it, and you could actually hear his speech was absolutely slurred, and he was...
Was that the Berbick fight or the one before?
The Berbick fight, yeah, it was grey at the sides, and, you could see that he was kind of flabby about the belly.
The old squad refused to go in with him, didn't they?
Yeah, the doctor, we call him Ferdy Pacheco,
refused
his corner. I think I downloaded it, actually. I maybe need to catch up with this. Because, like everything else, actually, outside of Tyson, Ali has got so many films and documentaries made about him and that. You think, is there any more else to tell
I
about the
think
guy?
this might have been the Ken Burns one that was on PBS, and if it's Ken
it?
Burns, you got to watch it. Ken Burns is an incredible.
I've probably
filmmaker.
seen it, mate. I've probably seen it. I mean, there's like honestly,
it came out like in the last year or less.
I probably have seen it, to be honest. But yeah, if it's based on his last 2 fights, it was sad to see. Obviously, you always remember Angelo Dundee wanting to stop the fight, and you've got Bundini Brown begging. He was practically, I think he was in tears actually, begging the fight to go ahead. And fucking Dundee's like, look, I'm a chief second, stop the fight. That's the end of the matter. But as Pacheco says, he should have called it a day after the Thriller Manila. That was the end of both guys. But Ali kept going. For another, was it 5 years, 6, 7 years? Lost the title, regained it a third time. So. Yeah, it's sad to see him kind of like how he ended up, because if you ever actually heard Ali on the mic, I'd love to have heard Ali as a colour commentator, mate, because remember he did the George Foreman Ken Norton fight out in, I think it was Venezuela, I think it was, and he was very, very good, very, very good eye. So I think even some of the earlier fights covering Sonny Liston as champion, possibly he was doing some colour commentary with Howard Cosell back in the day as well. So we're robbed of that,
He would have done. He would have done well. He would have been even better than Roy, and Roy was good for a former fighter on the mic.
I think Ali would have been absolutely fantastic for stand-ups and guest meetings, commentary, anything. He just had that charisma about him, mate. Anything he turned his hand to, he would have probably just turned to fucking gold.
Dude, I hate to say it, but I think you kind of look back on it a little bit, and it sounds wrong to say it, but going back to that fight and what he absorbed, I kind of think that Ali might have won the battle, but Foreman won the war.
I don't know, mate. It was
he was bouncing shots. I mean, the rope-a-dope was.
I know, but mate, Frazier fucking gave him all he could handle, mate. He was hitting them everywhere. Foreman was headhunting that whole fight.
Both of them almost died in the Philippines.
Exactly. Frazier was hitting them all over the place. Lungs, kidneys, the heart, the hips, the elbows. He wanted to fucking cripple him, by the way. And as it says, if you listen to the hatred between the two of them as life went on, Frazier even put on a wee poem on his answer machine about Ali if you couldn't get him on the phone, basically, So it's a bit sick because it's at that point Frazier actually took supposed delight in moments where he received money that he says I did that to him, So it's a bit sad.
Yep. Well, on a much happier note, I know Steve likes this one. Coming up on Friday, you got Nathan Gorman versus Thomas Selleck. Steve, fill us in.
Tom Selleck? Might as well be Tom Selleck.
Tomas. It looks like Tomas Salek. Salak. Tomas Salak.
Well, that'll do. Well, I don't know. I'll probably will end up watching it because it's on a Friday night. But
the return of Josh Kelly. I mean, how could you not?
This is absolute shit, man. I agree with all Ozzy says earlier about the Sauerlands. I'm going to paraphrase him a little bit. They've done some decent things in boxing, but they're always on the verge of something, aren't they? On the cusp. They've always got this big deal going on. The last card they put on, the Channel 5 one, was a good card with a good main event. But you see this against this Salek. Absolute dog shit, man. And then Josh Kelly on the undercard. Mason Cartwright's a decent fighter. Nobody else apart from Chloe Watson, who's in a 5-2s or whatever it is, has even got an opponent. This is crap, man. I hope Channel 5 haven't sacked off Fat Mick for this shite. I'll give him a chance, like I said, because the last one was decent. This guy got knocked out in the car park by Cash Ali, so this does nothing for Gorman's career. Hopefully he gets rid of him and they get him out again quickly. But yeah, I'm not impressed.
There you go. Steve is
Kelly
not impressed. I guess that might be the most interesting thing from that whole card, Andy. Oz, Saturday from Leeds. You got O'Hara Davies coming back, as well as a 122-pound clash. Jack Bateson against Diego Alberto Ruiz over 10. Bateson going in undefeated. What's your thoughts?
A bizarre card, and I want to know who's funding these purses, because I've been to Mark Bateson shows, and you get about 1,000 people there, and they're all on ticket deals. Now, I want to know why the fuck Archie Sharp and O'Hara Davies fighting on a Mark Bateson show in Leeds. Answers on a postcard, are there any links to outside cash? Who were Sharp and Davis managed managed by recently, MTK. So who knows where the funds are coming from? But I mean, yeah, this card's actually better than that Channel 5 card, actually. There's more interesting fighters on it, that's for sure. Bateson's not bad. He can't really punch, so I'm always wary of fighters that, are going to struggle to go up the levels, because if you can't dig, you just can't keep the better fighters off you. I mean, it's a big step up, this, because he's against the guy. I mean, Shabazz Massoud completely pissed it against him, but then he gave Lee McGregor a fantastic fight. I think some argued that McGregor got beat on that fight in that fight as well, and Mick Conlan stopped him. So I understand the opponent. It's interesting, Bateson's pretty slick. He can box, but at the same time as well, if this guy's going to try and put the pressure on him, an upset wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. I think Bateson will come through, but if next Sunday, we're looking at it and Bateson's got beat, will I be shocked? No. McGregor is better than, a lot better than Bateson. Hits harder, that sort of stuff. And I know he had an off night, but the fact that even an off night, you think McGregor would beat this guy, and he didn't. So it's going to be interesting. The rest of it is like I said, it's odd, really bizarre. Fucking Davis and Sharp, God knows who they're going to be against. Who knows? And as for that Channel 5 card, it's a shambles. It's an embarrassment. Why are we bringing opponents over who get banged out in car parks in Sheffield on Dennis Hobson shows? We don't need to be seeing these people anymore. Headlining shows on Channel 5. Why are Channel 5 binning off Fat Mick to then, put this sort of stuff on terrestrial telly? No one cares. This is not a good opponent whatsoever. It does nothing for Nathan Gorman's career at all. And like I said, the rest of the card, nobody has an opponent apart from Chloe Watson, who I've never heard of. 2-0. Josh Kelly cocked up last time, so God knows who he's going to be in against. It's just and they've got that buddy Geordie Shaw guy, that Aaron Chalmers making his debut. So yeah, it's just a bit of a cartoon for the Sauerlands, isn't it? Like I said, I don't think they're good at what they do anymore. It's just like Steve said, they're always on the verge of something, but in reality, they're a million miles away. They're too busy calling out, dicking around with, giving Geordie Shaw TV stars boxing debuts and having Maris Brady's dress up as Super Mario and calling out Jake Paul. When it gets down to the serious stuff, they're a million miles away. No one takes them serious anymore. It's a trash card and doesn't warrant TV whatsoever.
There you go. Trash it is. What isn't trash is Bob's redemption card at MSG. Headlined by Otter Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. over 12 rounds, WBC, IBF, and WBO titles on the line. But also on the card, a very interesting 126-pound scrap with Abraham Nova putting his undefeated record up against Robisi Ramirez over 10 rounds. Steve, on this one, Nova has a substantial height and reach advantage, but Ramirez has that pedigree. He has that pedigree. Despite losing his debut professional fight, this is a guy with a hell of an amateur background. This is an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think this is a great fight. Surprising one, but they've obviously said, look, Ramirez, or he said to them, no more kid gloves, let me off the leash. Last time we saw him, he was beating the shit out of Eric Donovan, who's a good fighter, but Ramirez just showed the levels between the two of them. And the fact they're throwing him in with Nova, I'm excited about that. Nova's got a great beard, looks a bit like Howard Eastman. He's 28, Puerto Rican. They could have stuck him on last week for a bit of last night. Sorry,
he's like the mini-me of Jean-Marc Mormec.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually, Jean-Marc Mormec. But I'm looking down Nova's record. I was trying to think of the last time I saw him, and it was in that last fight against Encarnacion. He got rid of him. Before that, though, he went the distance with Avery Sparrow, and then he went an 8-rounder with Richard Pumic pitch. So we're starting to see a little bit of a trend from Nova. Does his record deceive him? Is that what they're seeing here? We could see a Ramirez win, which I think we will do. Maybe even a stoppage. Maybe there's something about Nova that they know. He's no champagne supernova. So I'm going for Ramirez to win this one. But it's a good fight, a good step up, and they're not messing around. They're not hanging around. They're moving him on up. And Nova, he's decent. He can punch a little bit, but I'm going for Ramirez. But yeah, props to the Bob father. Hopefully it doesn't fall through. This is a good supporting fight.
And Mr. 51 points, is that going to be by stoppage or decision?
Oh, this is in the league? Right, okay, so... let's see, Ramirez 9-1. How many stoppages does he have? 5. No, I'll go for points. I'll go Ramirez on points.
All right. Andy, what way are you going on this one?
I don't know, to be honest with you. To me, it's a 50-50, to be honest with you. Decent matchup. Again, I just don't know with these Cubans sometimes, but, you know, are they motivated or whatever it is? I think, for what I can recall in Nova, at least, he's tough and he's got a wee bit of pop about him. But I'll probably side with Steve as well. I'll probably say Ramirez on points. The only question I maybe got about Ramirez, possibly, sorry, about Nova really would be his chin. But I've still to see really. Well, I know Ramirez has got a few knockouts, but I just don't know if he's got that type of pop. You know, because Nova's really kind of bigger than him as such. So I'll stick with the points. Ramirez on points, I think, mate.
All right, Ozzy, what are you thinking on this one?
Agree with what Wellings and Andy have said. Pretty much.
All right. Jeez. Interesting. Well, I always like going with the underdogs.
Well, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think given his advantage in height and reach and the oftentimes reliance on amateur boxers to use the classic 1-2s, I think I'm going to go with Nova on this one. And I think he's going to take Ramirez to the later rounds. We've seen he can still punch late against Encarnacion. So fuck it. Let's go with Nova by stoppage.
Wow. I mean, did you see that Ramirez got upset in his first fight? Was it a knockout, eh?
Not points. He got dropped in the first round, though.
That's what it was. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing too specific. It's just... And also it's, Nova's been doing most of his fights over at 130 pounds. I think he's going to fill out markedly. I don't think he's going to put on 30 pounds, but I bet you that he outweighs Ramirez by 10 pounds on fight night.
Our problem is trusting Cuban fighters, to be honest with you, mate. It's just all it is, because everyone that seems, well, apart from like the odd one or two, like Rigo, for example, but yeah, you just wonder. It's just I always get this kind of like fragility kind of question mark about him, and so we just need to wait to see how he develops. But yeah, hopefully he pulls through. But as I say, I've still got to be convinced.
Yeah, we'll see. That it's an interesting fight. I saw this on the undercard, and at least they're not serving us a whole barrel of crap like they did yesterday. That was pathetic. So, but that is leading up to a fight that, man, I think everyone's going to say it's going to end in a knockout. Artur Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr.
And they start your 6.5 fucking over and under pish here with this one, by the way.
We'll see how everybody answers. Yeah, it is, because there's not shit else, didn't you? We were talking those other fights. There's not shit else. 3 belts on the line. Light heavyweight. Almost going to be cleaned up here, except for Bivol sitting out there. And God, wouldn't the winner of this against Bivol be a scrap? But let's stick with this one. Steve, I think obviously people are going with Beterbiev by stoppage here. Smith has shown some vulnerabilities. Beterbiev, not a quick starter, has been on his ass against Callum Johnson. Makes it a little bit interesting because Joe Smith is a bit of a banger. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, there's a chance that Smith could catch him, excuse me, at some point and maybe drop him early. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all, because Beterbiev can throw shots with reckless abandon at times. He can be cut, but against Marcus Brown, the more the blood flowed, the more his blood was pumping, and he just wanted to hurt him and get him out of there. I'm going for Beterbiev stoppage. I think it'll go late. Smith's a tough guy. I like him. He has that puncher's chance as well, but this is all set up for Beterbiev to win. I think he's going to grind him down as the fight goes. It's going to be a hard watch, and Smith is going to get stopped. But Bivol's a lot more elusive and defensively sound boxer than Beterbiev. I think he hurt Smith at some point, got hurt in return, but he didn't have that killer instinct in the fight. He was happy to cruise and win the fight on points. Beterbiev, if he finds any vulnerabilities or senses any weaknesses in Smith, he'll pounce. And I think by the end of this, it's going to become a hard watch, and Smith is going to be ground down, beaten down, and the corner might have to intervene at some point. I think he's going to get stopped in about 10 or 11 rounds.
Steve is thinking a late stoppage for Beterbiev. Okay. Welcome back to the call, Rob Kelly. Hopefully a better signal this time. Now he's on video. That's got to improve the bandwidth for you. Rob, what are your thoughts on Beterbiev against Joe Smith Jr.? Rob. Oh, for fuck's sake.
At least his sound's improved.
Andy, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Rob just dropped off. Really looking forward to it, actually. I would say Smith's got an outside chance of winning the fight. I wouldn't say it's very winnable, but it's definitely winnable, shall we say, because I think Beterbiev can definitely start slow, takes him a bit of time to get going, and he's definitely not as smooth and as skilled probably as what Bivol is, for example. But I'm thinking Beterbiev will get to him late. I just think as well, if based off the Marcus Brown fight, he admitted himself once he got cut, it really pissed him off, and he really went. If you look at it, actually, went right down to work. So I would think if Smiths wanted to try and rough him up a wee bit, and that it could play against him, because I think Beterbiev's an absolute brute. Probably won't be easily manhandled, and will make you pay for it. The other thing as well is I think Smith can sometimes let himself kind of get drawn into fights, whereas he doesn't jab himself into distance and tries to get in, lob the right hand in. He's going to have to get that jab working the whole fight, because Beterbiev's jab is a fucking brute, man. I'm telling you, you do not want to be taking too many of those.
It's
those
almost
jabs.
a power punch,
mate. It's unbelievable how much power he gets in his jab. I've watched him on some videos that the fucking power he gets is incredible. Couple on the right hand and left hooks to the body, which he all really needs to do. Really, it's a heavy night's work. I just think if he does hurt Joe Smith, and Smith somehow just can't respond or has to kind of cover up, I think that's when the bother really starts to come really heavy, because Beterbiev will just tee off on him, hurt him even more, possibly even drop him a couple of times. Maybe see the end of the rounds. I could see maybe Smith touching the deck a couple of times here. I take your point about Callum Johnson putting Beterbiev on his ass and that, but as I says, if it does happen, I think it would just be the inevitable downfall anyway. I just think Beterbiev at this point is still that beast. It says keeps it kind of very, very basic, and the power is just absolute real, mate. So yeah, definitely without doubt for me, Smith's got his level in that as well. We saw him get handled off Bivol. There was a moment in that Bivol fight I can remember him getting the hurt, and he was Bivol was just teeing off on him, and Smith just couldn't respond. I think it was the end of the 12th, I think, and just couldn't respond. So I'm thinking to myself, if Beterbiev somehow gets him like that, I could see him getting stopped. Maybe even a mercy stoppage in the corner. He's just taking too much punishment, but definitely some sort of stoppage at least, either by mercy or by knockout. I'm going to say Beterbiev run about the 10th or 11th.
All right. Rob, how you doing there, man?
How are we sounding now? Okay.
We're good, brother. We're good.
We're good. All right. Okay. Beat or beef? Glad I came up with that there just now. Beat or I gotta say, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Joe Smith fights one way, doesn't he? Like, he comes forward, high guard, heavy-handed. He's definitely going to try out Beterbiev's chin, but I think Beterbiev is rock solid. And I'd see him breaking him down with the jab and stopping him towards the 8th. I think Andy's on the money and Steve is on the money, saying Bivol had Joe Smith hurt at times, even though I totally forgot that fight happened famously on the pod before. I thought they should fight each other after Bivol already beat him. But I think Beterbiev is just going to have too much artillery for him. Like Joe Smith punches like a mule, but outside of that, I think he's pretty basic. And Beterbiev's jab is going to dictate the pace of the fight. He's going to have it in his face all night. But stranger things have happened in fucking boxing. Like Joe Smith can knock anybody out. So, like I said, he punches so fucking hard, man. Like this is going to be a very, very interesting scrap, and surely there's going to catch fire at some stage. But I think Beterbiev being a slow starter, Joe Smith's best chance is to go out and fucking jump on him, similar to what he did with who was the French Canadian guy where he got him out of there fucking really early. Can't fucking remember his name.
I remember he knocked out Fonfara. I'm not
Fonfara,
sure.
Fonfara, wasn't it? Was it Fonfara? He's not French Canadian, is he?
He's Polish.
Polish, yeah. All right, well, whatever. He knocked out Fonfara early.
Close
and
enough.
Jumped on him. So yeah, I'll take it. I think I think Joe Smith has to go out and jump on Beterbiev to have a chance. As over the course of the distance, he's just going to be in for a fucking long punishing night. So I'm going to say somewhere after 8 rounds, Beterbiev gets the job done if Joe Smith doesn't blast him out in 2 rounds, which is highly unlikely, but still a possibility given the power that he carries. Like.
You're mute, bye.
Yes, I was. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Oz, the one thing that sticks in my mind on this, I worry about a little bit, if I'm a Beterbiev guy, is if Joe Smith somehow hurts him, puts him down like Callum Johnson does. Do you think that Joe Smith Jr. is going to let him off the hook?
He'd certainly give it a go. That's for sure. I think if he can get him down and hurt him, which Beterbiev was hurt against Johnson as well, I think basically Smith is just going to jump all over him and try and get him out of there. I actually agree completely with what Steve said on the breakdown. I think Smith could well get it dropped, Beterbiev early. But then I think Beterbiev will take over. As you said, the jab will probably dictate everything, and you can't constantly eat that jab off Beterbiev because it's as good as a power shot, or it is a power shot. And, unless you've got a face of steel, which he certainly hasn't, you're going to get busted up by it. I think the fight, for Smith earlier in the year certainly helped him. He's not just been, rotting on the sideline. There's only so long you can spend in a gym. He got 9 rounds in against that Gefrard guy, while Beterbiev hasn't boxed since, knocking out Marcus Brown in December. So it's another, lengthy-ish layoff for Beterbiev, 6-7 months, that sort of stuff. But it's a great fight. It's a fantastic fight. And this is why, really, we watch the sport. I think Beterbiev knocks him out, and I think he gets him out of there, and I think it'll end up being quite brutal, actually. But I think Smith will have some success. I just don't think he's got the ability to take advantage of it. I think he'll try, but I think Beterbiev, when he does get fucked off, or unless if he's badly hurt, if he does take one, it probably angers him. It's probably whereas, Smith might be at his most vulnerable going on the attack if he senses any potential weakness. Because if he's wide open and he doesn't see a shot coming, it's lights out. I think I'm going to go a bit earlier than Steve. I think Beterbiev will stop Smith rounds 7 to 9. And I think it'll be more, not a one-punch KO. I think it'll be basically just a beat down, just breaking him down, body shots to the head. And, I wouldn't be shocked if a towel comes in just to save Smith for another day.
It's interesting that you said that, Oz, because I'm trying to find a good way to split this up for predictions on this, because I think we're all kind of looking the same general direction.
For fuck's sake, here we go.
Well, so a minute and a half into the 9th round is the over-under. Do you think it's going to go longer than that or shorter than that? Steve.
Fuck you,
Steve.
Listen, you fucked up these picks last week, by the way. That shite. And we were scrambling with DM messages and WhatsApps trying to get the picks in for this week. You know, they tell me we're going to pick him 1 minute after the fucking start of the 9th round.
Minute and a half. A minute and a half.
It's 90 seconds.
So the line is technically 8.5 rounds, but I think that would make it weirder for you, and I don't want to make this even more complicated than it is for you, Andy.
Oh, well,
I know
thank
you have
fuck
a hard
for that.
time.
Go
I
finish
thought
your
it's not
show.
very complicated.
And you guys basically set the line by what you were saying there, so that's why I went off. Is you got
You know why?
yeah,
Because that's our prediction.
so that's really interesting. I like how that works.
Okay,
Steve.
I'll go under.
I went
Andy.
over. I said 10 or 11, so I'll go over.
Over. Rob.
Yeah, I'm going under. I said 8, so we'll go under.
Oz.
Under.
I'm going under 2. I think Andy's wrong on this one. And I'm not even saying that Better Be of wins. I think it goes less than 9.5 rounds, or 8.5 rounds. So that's what we got there. Andy, alone on that planet. And then Rob, who do you think's going to win between Abraham Nova and Robisi Ramirez?
You don't get the fuck away from me with all my fucking holidays. Give me a break, will you?
Rob's going to jump in that fucking pool and drown himself in a minute here.
Stop. Yeah, I'm not. Do I have to give a pick for that? I can't give a pick. Let one of the lads, let the listeners decide for me. Pull one out of the chat for me on that one. Fuck's sake. Ramirez, SB.
Ramirez on points. Okay.
That's a fair prediction, really.
Split decision, actually, he said.
Yeah,
Split decision, so get that right.
Everybody said that except for me, Rob, so I tend to think you're right.
Yeah, well, how am I doing now in the league, by the way?
I don't want to ruin your holiday.
I don't think it's going to have too great an impact, to be honest with you.
So since we had that cancellation of the fight I really wanted to happen last week, we only had the Inoue Donaire fight, and you and Steve correctly predicted stoppage. So you are sitting 5 behind Steve at 46 points. Steve has 51, Andy 44, me 37. Oz, we'll catch up. I kind of think if I'll just put you where I'm at this point in time, and if you
That's
can
put me
catch
on there.
and if
That's
you can
put me
catch
in
up
the
about
relegation zone in fucking Joe Kennedy's league.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll be claiming points from last week because I also said Inoue stoppage.
Yes, you did, and I'll absolutely do that. So
I'm top of Joe Kennedy's league, stretched out like Devon Alexander's anus. Sure, the point.
All right.
Ooh, got a whiff of that.
So we got all right. So there we are. So yeah. So Oz, congratulations! You re-entered after 1 week, and you're already ahead of me by 1. I'm that kind of charitable person. I think I'm one miracle away from sainthood. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Steve for the Belly of the Week.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthew. Belly of the Week for episode 478. Matty's on the call, as you heard. We've got Ozzy here as well. We've also got Andy and Rapping Rob Kelly calling in from his holes. Let's get on to Belly of the Week. Quite a few videos sent in. So let's start off with one sent in by Ricky Graville. It's our old friend Ben Davison. Let's see what Ben's up to.
Otherwise, everyone who could throw every punch in the book would be a world champion, wouldn't they? No. What separates them is not the punches. It's how they apply them, the in-between. That's what needs to be getting spoke to. That's what he needs to... That's what he needs to be looking for. You can't really say that because... No, nothing to do with that. Because football managers... Jose Mourinho worked with Chelsea, worked with Man United. I'm a boxing trainer. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'll take that job. Like, he might go, what does he know? Fuck all, idiot. Do you know what I mean? But
it's almost like my work here is done. I can't imagine Jesus going, I've told a few people here in Bethlehem I'm the Son of God. Can I just stay here with Mum and Dad now? No. You got to move on. You got to spread the word. You got to go to Nazareth, please. And that's very much like me. My world does not end with these 4 walls. Slough's a big place, and when I finish with Slough, there's Reading, Aldershot, Bracknell. I've got a Didcot, Yateley, my Winnersh, Taplow. You know, because I am my own boss. I can Burfield. I can wake up one morning and go, oh, I don't feel like working today. Can I just stay in bed? Oh, I don't know. You better ask the boss. David, can I stay in bed all day? Yes, you can, David. Both me. That's not me in bed with another bloke called David.
Oh my fucking god!
Who put that masterpiece together?
It was off YouTube. Ricky sent it me.
Brilliant.
Okay, excellent.
And speaking of, I'd also like to wish a genuinely a happy Pride Month to Donnie and Gabe.
Is Gabe still alive?
We don't know, man. It's touch and go, innit? We don't know.
Yeah.
Not related to Pride Month, by the way. We're not going to say anything like that.
Alive with a cock in each hand, and neither of them is his.
Anyway, thanks for sending that in, Ricky. Matty, you mentioned about being, was it one good deed away from sainthood? Perhaps we could get you this then to celebrate the Tyson Fury prayer candle.
Oh my god! As a person with
$15 no less, Matty.
As a person with so many Catholic relatives, I just see this as wonderful. Like, I go to the store and they like always have the Mother Mary and the Jesus candles in the Hispanic aisle, and I wish that they had a Tyson Fury candle there because I would have it.
Big seller on Puerto Rican Day, this one, isn't it?
I'd have two. I would have two.
Saint Fury, yeah. Yeah, you need to get that.
Yeah.
Get into the old lungs, Matty. You'll be speaking like John Fury in no time.
Yeah, yeah. He's the saint of sobriety.
Possibly. Anyway, yeah. I can't remember who sent that in, but thank you anyway. Next one here, Dominic Ingle. My latest single release is available on all streaming platforms. Give it a listen, a like, and a save. It's called I Met a Girl. There you are, there's Dom.
Reminds me of fucking Millhouse's dad when he released the single, wasn't it? Can I borrow a feeling?
Oh, Dominic. I haven't heard it, though. Have you heard it yet, Andy, at all? No?
I haven't heard it, mate. No, sorry. I seen. It was real nice. Derek was actually on the Twitter with his electric guitar, fucking playing over top it. So it must have been shite.
Oh, Dominic is enjoying himself. Anyway, Oscar De La Coca. This is what really goes down before those boxing interviews you watch. Old Ben himself, nice guy that he is, asking for things not to be. What is it? Cut that, as Eddie would say.
He said, I'm going to fucking jump in here and defend Ben Shalom, by the way.
Oh,
nice guy. And you know, we're very unbiased on this pod, so if I had to take Ben Shalom to task for doing something...
Adam Smith would take him to task.
I would do it, but he's not that kind of guy, like, is he? He's not like Suge Knight all in the videos like a certain other promoter, and he doesn't want to get into a war of words commenting on like other people's fighters and other situations. And plus, Pro Bellum are suing Boxer for defamation at the moment. Pro Bellum, by the way, are saying that they have no links to fucking Kinahan anymore. I love the way every couple of weeks that they deny links to MTK, and then some internet sleuth finds out that like on LinkedIn somebody in their office is fucking leasing the fucking premises or something that works at Pro Bellum. And I was saying to the lads in the chat, it's like that fucking scene out of White Man Can't Jump where your man goes to rob the store and your man's like, hey Raymond, is that you? No, this ain't Raymond. That's what the CEO of Pro Bellum is like, innit? But I kind of understand where Shalom is coming from. Like, he's not with the verbal fucking jousting. He's not capable of verbally jousting with Eddie Hearn and that. Like, is he really? So he's probably best avoiding it. But yeah, really would week for Ben Shalom, all around nice looking guy and great kid.
To be fair though, it was an open wet dream for all Eddie Hearn's fucking supporters, though, wasn't it? Eddie that answers all the questions. He answers every question. Doesn't ask for anything to be deleted. My arse.
But that's easy to do when you're lying with the answers, isn't it?
Yeah. Takes his time.
Hey, Steve, pull up that GIF again that you just showed. Dude, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, that looks like, depending on when you come into the picture, it's either the best plastic surgery job in the history of man or the worst.
Sorry, Oz, go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with Rob on this, by the way. Like, I get it, you know, it's not a good look from it, but from my perspective, which it's like basically what I work in, it's not unheard of if you were to do like a presser, you will only answer questions on certain things, for example, and people will make clear at the start, we're not going to answer questions on X, Y, and Z because. And I think in boxing, because there's so many YouTubers going around who'll put cameras in your face, we expect everybody to be like an open book and answer everything. And ultimately, they don't need to do that. Now, there's two things. Boxing Social have clearly leaked this, or it looks like it's come from that. And if that's the case, that's really poor. There's a trust element there, and it's been leaked out. Whether it was intentionally leaked out or it was shown and then has been passed on, you've got a trust element there, which is wrong. And other promoters will do a full interview, answer questions, and then at the end of it go, actually, can you take X, Y, and Z out? Because I don't know if it's right that we leave that in. On the other side, Shalom, I get him, what he could have done is just have your standard corporate line ready, to talk about it, so they ask him about Probellum, I'm not at liberty to say, I don't really have an opinion on it, full stop. That's it. You don't have to go into detail and be like an open book and, pour your heart out to every answer. I don't know why, I don't know the issue about, not wanting to comment on, Joshua, Hearn, that sort of stuff. Because again, if he's no real opinion, just give a blunt answer. Interviewer has to move on. He's not going to be grilled, is he? And like, well, keep prodded, pushed on getting an answer. If he gives something boring back, they'll just move on, because ultimately it's not going to draw views for it.
But like,
so
who are these people that are fucking at home like going, I'm raging I didn't get fucking Ben Shalom's take on Anthony Joshua's potential move to Sky in the zone. Why?
Exactly.
This is unacceptable. Like, who the fuck cares?
Nobody. And it only looks bad because this has happened, and he's trying to dictate, the narrative of the interview. But at the same time, if he got asked a question and was really blunt on it, would we be any worse off? No, absolutely not. And I don't really care what he has to say. Like, ultimately, he has just got a TV channel. His company is signed with Sky. So if Sky lose Anthony Joshua because he goes to the zone, it's nothing to do with Ben Shalom. He could just say, it's a blow for the channel, but we're doing big things. And yeah, we're going to, look to create our own nights, like we did with Amir Khan, Kell Brook. Full stop. Move on, and you just completely blasé over it. So I saw some people slagging him off. I look at it from a different perspective because I've been involved in other bits, different sports, football, cricket, rugby, from where, if they've got, they're doing a presser about a certain event, NFL in particular as well, they will not answer questions on, certain things. Prime one will be Deshaun Watson, who's gone to the Cleveland Browns, has got all sorts of legal stuff hanging over him, and they just won't answer questions on it whatsoever. And they'll say it at the start, they'll still ask a question, and they won't answer about it. But there's clear reasons why. So I get Shalom in this instance. He could have just handled it a bit different, answered the question just really boring, rather than say, don't ask me. But if we'd never have seen this video and you watch the interview, you wouldn't have been sat there thinking, like you said, Rob, I'd love to know what he thinks about Probellum or DAZN or Eddie Hearn. You just wouldn't care. That thought process wouldn't enter your mind. So yeah, for me, I get it. I get it. The support for Shalom. I understand it. It's not a great look, and it could have been handled different. But I'm not going to slag him off for it either.
And to the fucking Eddie Hearn defenders, one of the listeners in the chat there is after making a really good point. Who's pressed Eddie Hearn on his relationship with Kinahan, by the way? Has he ever, he skirts around that one? Fucking, he doesn't really. He answers every question, but he doesn't really go into much detail there on that one, does he? Like,
look at the way he Sandanced the Saudi Arabia question when it came down to Joshua usually getting made.
Rob, I think that you should feel ashamed for saying that someone like Kinahan would associate with somebody like Eddie Hearn, for God's sake. Why would he associate with such scum?
I have a lot of things to feel ashamed about, Matty, but I don't think that's one of them. But on that note, I'm going to bounce. But I'm just going to give my nomination for the fucking. It has to be Boxer Size Ben, because I'm sure you're going to get to it. What a fucking cunt, man! What is he talking about him? I leave this to it to discuss, and I look forward to listening to all your takes on it. What a prick, man! With his fucking ring positioning and his fucking looks and his ins and outs and his exit strategy and his 4-4-2 formation. He's a fucking absolute knob. So Boxer Size Ben gets my nomination, and it catches on the flip flop. Have a good one, lads.
Enjoy the Suzuki.
Thanks, Rob. Right, moving on. One person who doesn't need any leaking whatsoever because he does it all himself is Oscar. He says, for all the idiots who know shit about boxing, Jimmy Kelly was up on all scorecards and is a real threat to anyone at 160. Congratulations, Jaime Munguia. And now we will haunt Charlo every day until Daddy Al lets him fight. Fair play to Oscar on this one. You know, all these people know shit about boxing, know nothing about Jimmy Kelly coming in. A lot like this guy, actually.
Or maybe the casual fans before July 16th. Is there a date, a fight coming up on the Golden Boy calendar that we should look out for? Tell us something. Put your promoter hat on here for a second. And what's a fight that maybe we're not talking about that the MMA fans over here watching this show would be like, damn, I need to see that? Is there something that comes to mind?
Yeah, so I have Jaime Munguia fighting this Saturday, actually at the Honda Center. You know, it's we'll have like 12,000 people there. It's going to be. He's fighting actually. I mean, I don't even know who the hell he is, who he's fighting. Yeah, and
what a promoter!
Then literally 2 days later, he's like bigging them up. He's a great fighter.
What a fucking idiot!
I mean, listen. See, he came out during the week after saying that his company's worth $1 billion, wasn't it? So fucking Eddie should have been fucking bought him out with that $1 billion that he wasted on all those shitey fights.
Yeah, and Kelly might be a threat to some people at 160 pounds, but he isn't a cruiserweight.
Well,
amazing
Andy,
content there.
You referenced it there. Oscar can't wait to sell Golden Boy Promotions. I'm sitting on $1 billion company, and then, as you said, he tweeted out a couple of days later saying he'd had an offer. Should he take it or not?
If it's for $1 billion, you should take it.
Was it like Monopoly money? Like $1 billion in Monopoly money?
Fuck, inflation's a bitch, isn't it? I mean, goddamn.
Well, cocaine's not cheap these days, mate.
I think I don't know that I don't even know that that's if that's $100 million company, to be honest with you. I don't what the talent that they have. I mean, what are you buying?
Canelo's gone. No way.
What are their assets?
Canelo was worth about, was it 96% of the revenue or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
Somebody said.
It was something crazy. Huh? It was him that kept them gone fucking for the best part of 3 years.
You got like Jaime Munguia and Sinisa Estrada.
Victor Ortiz,
Virgil
Ortiz. Sorry, there was somebody else.
Alexis Rocha, Ryan Garcia.
That's
Garcia,
what
yeah.
He's one knockout away for like ending the sport, like so.
He needs to fight first.
Yeah, this is true. He was called out Tank Davis, but
Oscar's just probably sitting there like, hell, if the offer's $20 million and my mortgage is. If I can pay off my house with $700,000 and I owe my Coke dealer $2.8 million, that leaves me. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, he's fucked. He needs to get back in the ring shortly.
Oh, he's going to have to. No, Des made the point in the chat. Great fighter. He's a strange man, is Oscar. But anyway, we're not going to stop there. Here he is previewing this weekend's fights. Let's see if he's got any more inside knowledge since that last
game. This is going to be... It's going to be an entertaining, fun fight. I've been studying Kelly for a while now, and he's the real deal.
So I have Jaime Munguia fighting this Saturday, actually at the Honda Center. You know, we'll have like 12,000 people there. It's going to be. He's fighting actually. I mean, I don't even know who the hell he is, who he's fighting.
I've been studying Kelly for a while now. He's coming off an amazing win, and I strongly feel that look, when you're from the hotbed of boxing now overseas in the UK, you have like a chip on your shoulder, you have something to prove, and you're always ready to fight. And so this is going to be a great fight, and whenever Jaime Munguia fights, it's always action packed, so it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, but that's how I was trying to I was trying to make a Jaime Munguia versus Charlo fight, but the problem is Al Heyman. Again, he blocks it. So so I had to move on to the next contender. It was this kid Cali.
I've been studying Cali for a while now.
I'm the biggest fight fan ever, and I don't know who he is.
Wow.
But it should be a fun fight.
It's weird. It's just like he just came off of a really good win against incapable Hindu. I mean, cannot Islam.
Yeah, hell, man! I swear to God, he was even wiping away the sweat off his brow there at one point. He was talking that much shit. He was fucking nerves. Jesus,
he's not in a good place, is he?
No,
mate, I don't know
he's
what
fucking all over the place.
He is. And that missus of his has got him on all the Botox treatments and that these days as well, eh? So fuck knows, man.
It's probably not helping us nominating him for Bellew of the Week multiple times then.
Oh well, mate, it's a strong leader so far. Who gives a fuck?
It's his best chance at a W in the last 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was Ranger Rollins who made that, by the way, but shout out to him. Let's move on swiftly and leave Oscar alone. And on to another fella. Is Richard Riakporhe more ruthless than Deontay Wilder? Johnny Nelson says the Brit has better technique. People have suggested Richard is a cruiserweight Deontay Wilder, but I think Richard is more cultured. Deontay was brute strength, but technique-wise, I think Richard is better, says Johnny Nelson.
Johnny Nelson says that James Dennison would beat Gervonta Davis right now.
He might have. We never know.
Now. We'll never know. He's retired now, so Davis his arse can start breathing again, so he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Fucking Johnny Nelson, man. He's at ASA. He fucking doesn't believe half the shit that he talks, man.
Archie Sharp smiles. I'm living in Shakur Stevenson's head rent-free, Matty. Archie Sharp.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about all the different threats that Shakur Stevenson might have around his weight, you know, you got Devin Haney, you have Gervonta Davis, but nobody's talking about Archie Sharp, and that's a mistake, because bam, that's when you get a fucking surprise, and he's going to be there to kick that ass should they ever make that fight. You know, but they got to get the money right, Steve. You know, I mean, what's Archie Sharp worth? How do you put a value on Archie Sharp?
Well, that knockout of Declan Geraghty was pretty brutal, so I'd say quite a lot, Matty.
Like $50,000 in a hooker?
Maybe not as much as that.
But I don't think he's going to accept those terms.
You never know, he might get the fight yet. Dylan tweeted out, Ricky Graville let us know about this one. My mate works in a prison, and Tony, I don't want to be a celebrity Bellew, turned up to visit his mate with a load of pre-written autographs for the guards.
Just leave him alone, guys. For fuck's sake.
Who?
Anthony Bellew.
What? Why do I want this? No,
Imagine
I won't give you a cigarette.
You've been done for murder, you're in solitary confinement, and then Bellew turns up, you think the sentence can't get any worse?
You're right, mates. How you doing, mates?
Hey, Tony, if it makes you feel better, some inmates might actually jerk off to your photo.
The sodomites.
Tony turning up there. Another one that was put on YouTube this week. I'm not sure who's responsible for it, but congratulations, you did a great job. Leonard Ellaby versus Eddie Hearn diss track. I think it was Dominic who sent me this one as well. Let's have a look.
No sunshine when Tank's gone.
I'll smack the shit out of him in front of everybody.
Only dark times for you.
I can just throw Haney's name in the hat. There is no fucking hat.
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
I don't play them type of games.
Leonard Ellaby, why you always talking about me?
Didn't you fucking learn your lesson from that with AJ?
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
I'll knock that motherfucker's hold out. Period.
Only dark times for you.
It ain't no hats to throw nothing in here. We're running a fucking business.
Ain't no sunshine when Tank's gone.
You fucking idiot.
Leonard Ellaby, why you always talking about me?
He had a budget of well over $1 billion.
It just kind of keeps going like that. fucking
Fair
idiot.
play to whoever made that.
Can you imagine if Eddie ever turns up with James Prince as his fucking bodyguard? Ellerby will shit his pants, man.
James Prince, man, you're on a different level there, Andy.
Oh,
Fuck me.
I know. I don't think Eddie would bet the banter juice, and Ellerby wouldn't be fucking making threats to fucking throw down with people if fucking James Prince was kicking about. I can guarantee you.
Oh dear, that was a good one. So next one we have here. We're on to 478. J-Bro, young Daniel dad, nominated by the Motor City Cobra. J-Bro says, I don't think people quite comprehend how much of a mismatch Haney versus Lomachenko is. I would rather Haney go up to 140, but if he fights Loma at 135 next, that's cool. He can embarrass Loma, and then we can hear more excuses why Loma lost that one, and now he's the tiniest lightweight of all time.
Fucking hell.
Oh dear, I don't know where you get these boys from, Andy, to be honest.
Well, you ask Motor City Cobra about that one, mate. I don't know where. I didn't follow this guy. What the fuck? J-Bro, young Dan. I'm just going to block him right now. Give me 2 minutes.
While Andy's off blocking him, let's hear it in. Let's check in with Ben again. Ben Davison over on Instagram.
no.
Somebody sent him a message. What do you think Joshua has to do to beat Usyk in the rematch? And Ben said, ring positioning first and foremost. He has to be composed enough to be able to process what is going on. When I did this, Usyk's response was, and register that information. It's important that he is able to create to then break rhythm. This will at times cause Usyk to reset and break base, which is something Joshua can use to his advantage. He has to switch up the point of attacks, making it hard for Usyk to anticipate, which will also make it difficult for Usyk to counter. I think, goes on Ben, he could do with being more compact but still naturally orthodox or southpaw. There will be some lead hand engagement, which he can use to his advantage if he understands what to expect from different looks. But Usyk is very good with his own lead hand, so I think it's vital Joshua learns to claim and regain the initiative in these moments. He then concludes he has to be able to create opportunities and know when to attack. There we go, boys.
Why didn't he hire him?
Well, to be honest, mate, Robert Garcia doesn't watch as much tape as what Ben Davison's unrivaled work, mate. But to be honest, some of it is just like right out of my head. I mean, for fuck's sake, we just talking about here. This is some of the shit that you say to him. Try and pull it up here again. I think he could do with being more compact, but still naturally orthodox southpaw. There will be some lead hand engagement which he can use to his advantage if he understands what to expect from different looks. What's he fucking? What different looks like? I mean, it's clear what fucking you're going to give him. Fucking Joshua's like, even Bellio's come out saying like Joshua's going to come out very aggressive and take it. Fucking Joshua's not going to tank to come out aggressive for like round one to go to war. You know, I think he's got maybe 3-4 rounds tops fighting like that before Usyk then starts to fucking tee off on him.
Michael Thompson says what did he say? This is like what he tells his fighters in between mounts.
Yeah, the probably go to sleep at that point actually as well. He needs to wake him up before the fucking round starts.
Okay, Ben Davison there giving the advice. One person who could have benefited from Ben's advice over the weekend was Black China, apparently. It was on the Bitcoin Rodney fight card. I think he could have taken Ben's advice on board, and that might have avoided this unfortunate ending.
Oh, big forward, hands down, and that's it. Now that's a shot to the top of the head. You remember Mike Tyson knocked out Trevor Burbeck this way, and it looks like Mr. Ochoa has knocked out.
What the
Start talking Tyson Burbeck.
Jesus, that's like one of the uppercuts you see in the movies, man. The guy gets knocked across the fucking bar. You know, right across the snooker table. Fucking hell, what's going on there?
It's like the Phil Silvers show, man, when they've done the boxing. Let's have another look at the knockout. Let's have another look here.
Oh, big forward, hands down, and that's it.
What the fuck off?
I assumed it was just some sort of like piss take, like wrestling style thing, because, well, don't look fucking real.
Bitcoin Rodney, Ozzy, come on.
I smack women's asses harder than that.
Can't do that these days, mate, before they start complaining, you know.
Need to play that on Chicks with Dig, Matter.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, there you go. Bitcoin Rodney in the promotional game. This is what boxing's coming to. David Adelaide was nominated by Jimmy Tun. What's everyone's predictions for tonight? Dubois versus Bryan. Or Bryan. Is that even a question? It was for David Adelaide. Andy, you don't know shit about boxing, tagged me in on this. He said, not sure if this is a bullshit title or not, but check out the Japan champion belt. That's some belt, isn't it, that there?
Yeah, it is, mate. That is the Japanese title belt, yep.
Looking like an Argos belt, but there you go. Whoever's won that, congratulations to them. Final few videos from me before we close out Belly of the Week for 478. The much maligned Jimmy Lee, he's only 18, bless him, but he's got thrown in, so anyone can get it.
You looked heavy-handed, spiteful, and much improved tonight.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that come out here tonight. I'm choked up. I'm made for this game, and anybody who wants it can have it. People underestimated me, but I'm here, and I'm here to stay.
I'm a real man. I'm a man.
What? A real man. Jesus Christ.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure his opponent as well was something like 2-48 who he beat.
Anybody can get it on us.
Yeah, well, yeah, correct. Yeah, what 1-0 Jimmy Lee beat? 2-24-2 Ricky Starkey. So yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he had half as many losses as you thought.
What's he going to be like when he gets his first defeat, man? He'll be absolutely gutted.
It's the way he was in tears saying anyone can get it. I'm sure people will be quaking in the boots seeing that.
Probably wouldn't have been Shaw. I want him next, baby. Get him on the fucking. Give me the contract now.
It's like Jay from the Inbetweeners, all grown up in boxing.
Poor Jimmy Lee. We'll let him off the hook. Declan Graffin says, don't know if it's already been nominated, but Belly of the Week nomination for the ref in the Vargas Linger fight. He's obviously knew who the A side was, Matty, but nearly got him killed in the process. 5 people had to get in the ring to stop it.
That was fucking terrible, that, by the way.
I can't believe I forgot to go into that discussing that card.
Yeah.
It was
awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah.
It's hard to talk about, especially with that cat dying this last week, but the ref's just like watching it go on, and they had someone coming up on the fucking apron, someone walking into the ring. It just became pointless after a while. Thank God he seems to be okay. But that was a performance that would have even put Steve Smoger on the edge of his seat.
Yeah. Vargas got banged out heavy as well by Zepeda, didn't he, in that grudge match? So they're going to have to take a look at him and his license, I think, because he looked like shit, man. He really, really badly wobbled. Anyway.
Yeah, he got brutalized by Zepeda.
Yeah, we're nominating for Belly of the Week. Talking of brutalisation, Matty, I know you have some screen captions, but this is the one that I've got here. Not strictly boxing, but it sounds like it went down. Brothers fight aboard Jet 2 flight after one urinates on the other. What happened here, Matty?
I forgot to get the screen caps, but I basically have memorized this story, Steve. So lucky us. So these two guys are flying from I think they're flying from London to Greece, and they drank while they were on the flight 2 liters of vodka that they somehow got onto the flight, and they started arguing and got into a fist fight, in which at one point one guy just whipped it out and started pissing on his brother. The man that was pissed on was far more apologetic, so he didn't get charged quite as badly. But the other brother is facing more serious charges, and neither are allowed to fly on that airline again.
They had to redirect the flight to Corfu, didn't they, to get the cops to yank them off?
Yeah, it was pretty serious shit, yeah.
The handcuffs on.
It's
dirty bastards.
And they had serious airport security. They had to stop before their destination. It was a whole shit fest. Having to top the Mike Tyson incident on the plane. I got to give it to these brothers. I think this is a hard one to beat, Steve.
Ben Russell says a couple of brothers, some Africans or Black Britons.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, hey, I'm going to have to play that now on. Let's see if I've
still
got it on. Hang on, here we are. Where's Bunsey? Oh, here we are.
Ukraine,
You think you're not bothered? You're going to take it?
But I had the 2 brothers got a restaurant there. I was going to go eat in their restaurant.
What, a couple of African guys or just a couple of Black Britons?
No, the Klitschko brothers got a restaurant.
Oh, the Klitschko brothers. I thought you meant 2 brothers.
No.
Oh, the Klitschko brothers got a restaurant.
Yeah, they got a big restaurant there apparently, so I'm going to go have a steak there.
Do you know what?
That's a classic.
it gets worse every time you see it, Buns, doesn't it? How the fuck does he still have a career in TV? I mean, with that and then the Jay Goody stuff, you can't make it up. You cannot make it up. And he has the audacity to slag people off who call him out on stuff. You just need to play him that video. How can he explain that? He's just crazy.
That video should be edited together with the broadcaster saying, "And for more on Black History Month, I turn it over to Steve Bunce."
Fuck me.
Yes, MB says Satanta was TV gold was with the bun seat. Certainly was. I do have another video here somewhere. Let me see if I can fish it out. It is Don King. I haven't actually watched this one, so we shall enjoy it together.
Thoughts on also Eddie Hearn?
Eddie Hearn, I feel kind of sad for Eddie Hearn because Eddie Hearn is taking everybody's top quality guy. He's being a master of losing money, but more importantly, he loses the reputation of the gladiator that he has instead of extolling his virtue and putting him out there in front of the people so he could be lavishly praised and work, and that it would have a common goal where it could be with the people, for the people, and by the people. He puts them in a position where they lose. They lose all the luster that they had and how they really worked up and did it. And so,
Amidst that babbling, he made a few fair points.
The Don still icing people in 2022. Those are all the ones that I've got then, gentlemen. Quite a strong week, I think you'll agree, especially on the video side of things. Andy, do you have anything to throw into the mix?
Just the one, mate. During the fight between Naito Donaire and Inoue, Inoue was bludgeoning Donaire into retirement. Some thieves broke into Inoue's house, stole designer bags and expensive jewellery. So they took the chance actually not to fucking meet uranium fists in the house, waited till he was elsewhere, then broke into his house and decided to rob him. So
they had that staked out for a goddamn long time, man. That was actually motherfucker.
I was actually thinking about poor Ricky Hatton one year when he actually posted on social media it was away on holiday to Spain. That same fucking night his house got tanned. So poor Ricky. So you got to watch what you're doing, boys. You got to watch what you're doing.
Ended better in Spain than it did for Scott Harrison.
Yeah, true, mate. He ended up in jail there, eh?
He certainly did. Are they all the ones that you've got under?
That's me, mate.
Lovely stuff. Matthew, any from you, please?
Only that the airline one.
And that was a strong one, as it was. Ozzy, any from you, please, finally?
No.
Nothing from Ozzy. Let's go through them very quickly then before we make our picks. First of all, we had the Tyson Fury prayer candle coming in at number 1. We had Dominic Ingles' single. We had Ben Shalom and his interviewing. We had Oscar, quite a few from Oscar this week. He's had a bit of a mare. We had Johnny Nelson talking about Richard Rathpole and John Terry Wilder. We had Archie Sharp talking about Shakur Stevenson. We had Tony Bellew turning up at the prison. We had Jay Bro talking about Lomachenko and Haney. We had Ben Davison being like David Brent. We had David Adelaide. We had the Japanese title. We had the referee in the Josue Vargas Dakota Linga fight, and we had the two brothers fighting on Jet 2. Don King talking about Eddie Hearn, Jimmy Lee getting all emotional, the Bitcoin Rodney Black China fight, Oscar again, and Eddie Hearn and Leonard Ellaby going back and forward. Don't know who you're going for, Andy, but I think for me, seeing as his body of work, much like his career, that made me travel across to Las Vegas and watch him live and in person in 2003. Great fighter, car crash of a man. It's Oscar De La Hoya for me.
Without doubt, mate. Oscar De La Coco, just gone for it, mate. So, yeah, without doubt, big Oscar.
2 for Oscar. Matty, Rob left his pick, didn't he? Like his legacy before he left. Who did he go for again? Was it Ben Davidson? I can't remember who he picked now.
Remember? I don't remember, but I think it's going to be a one and done on that one regardless. I think you guys are going to get it this week, no problem. So I'm going for the guys who peed on each other and fought on the plane. As somebody who once revenge peed on another person before, I appreciate the effort and I know how tensions can flare.
But how the hell can you just pull your cock out in the middle of a fucking crowded flight and just start pissing on your own brother like that?
Yeah, I did it in a garage with like 6 or 7 people.
Well, these flights, they are quite expensive these days. So one for the Fighting Brothers, two for Oscar De La Hoya, and one for whoever it was Rob picked. If you're in the chat and you can remember who Rob went for, throw it in now. Ozzy, who are you going for your pick of the week, episode 478?
It has to be De La Hoya. It's just an overwhelming, favourite. The guy's a fucking buffoon.
Oscar De La Hoya, then. Congratulations. You are top promoter, about to sell your promotional company for billions. You're also the belly of the week for episode 478. Congratulations. Just before I hand it back to you, Matty, shout out to our latest Patreon subscriber over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Evade from Australia joined us this week. He's now in the Boxing Nutters Messenger group. We had another call in last night, lasted for about an hour and 15 minutes. Had about 7 or 8 people on the call. Join us in the Nutters group if you want to join that next time. Back to you, Matty.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you to those Patreons. It's always a good time. That's also where you find the punches from the past series, so definitely a lot of bang for your buck. I'd like to thank Steve, Oz, Rob, and Andy for coming on to the show today. We had a good one. Next week, we will be back for episode 479 with Steve as the host. And until then, you all have a fantastic week ahead. And please, to all those boxers out there, be safe after that death in South Africa. God love y'all. You're putting it on the line. And condolences to all involved. Until next week.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam move! We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch.
I've never met a fucking Sri that can fight me.
I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't it? 7 year ain't it?
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.